Hello. Happy New Year. Why is my stream not starting? YouTube says my stream isn't started, but I think it is. It is. Wow, I just had to refresh the browser. Woohoo! Happy New Year, everyone. Good to see some people here. Yay! Electron Ash, Rob, David, Daniel, Mr. Dave, Charlie Plexing Darko. Woohoo! David Grants, Teletronics. Wow, everyone's popping in now. Torsten, Paul, David, Andy, hello. Happy New Year, everyone. I figured, okay, still just Dave. Just Dave then. Hey, Gregor. That was a pretty cool video from Brian. I figured if Brian can release a video on New Year's Day, I can live stream on the 2nd. It's echoing in here today. It feels like it's echoing. I don't know why. I'm not used to it. Hey, Brian. Dave the Badge God. Hello, Christian. How you doing? Oh, I have had 3 hours sleep. So I'm warning you all now, I might start mumbling and just drooling down the side of my face. Brian's got a 100% release record for 2019. Awesome. See if you can keep it up. See if you can keep it up. Really? Electron Ash, you have to refresh it? Weird. Oh well. How's the latency, folks? Hope it's good. I think I remember to turn latency on. Yeah, I just couldn't sleep last night. So, I don't know why. It happens sometimes. Wow, my camera vision for my Logitech seems like I look very blue today. What is going on? Let's give me a bit of warmth. A little bit of warmth. There we go. Looks much better in the webcam view than it does in OBS though. Hello Zulu Bailey. Latency test. Yeah, I missed the test. Sorry, Andy. Yes, Happy New Year to you all. Did you all have a fantastic New Year? We took the kids down to the to the beach, the end of one of our main roads, the beach area, and we watched the. Hey, Alan. Watched the fireworks off in the city. It was too small. We're too far away, but the kids got to see it. There's a family fireworks at 9:30 at night, and then we got the kids home in bed, and I think I was asleep by 11. It's awesome, which is pretty late for me on New Year's Eve. I think the last few New Year's Eves I've been in bed by 9. So we're talking about the imbibing. What is that? Hey Julian, happy 2019 to you as well. Is that upside down? Why is that video upside down? Oh, what is going on with my setup today? It's like everything's gone backwards. Flip vertical. Okay, now my hand's the wrong way. Flip horizontal. That's better. Oh, wow. That was really bizarre. Hey, the Embedded Hobbyist. Happy New Year to you too. How's Tasmania, Alan? Nice and cold? Oh boy. So I've been playing with a Pi, as some of you know. That's right, I'm from the future. It's the 2nd here today. Wednesday the 2nd. And, yep. New Year's Eve's already a thing from the past. Warm in Tasmania? No, you must be in the wrong Tasmania. Hey Chris, pie. Why are we talking about pie? Yum. Oh, raspberry pie. Gotcha. I'd rather eat pie than play with the pie. No, the pie's been really good. I've enjoyed it. So, for those of you that don't know, I had a bit of a rant the other day. I had a rant on my Patreon page for my patrons, but I also was just on Twitter about it as well. Oh, 7 seconds. That's pretty good. So, I was playing around with my Pi Zero W, but this port here, this USB, so that's power, and this is USB. This USB port is an on-the-go port. It's not a full USB port, which means you can't, it doesn't support hot swapping. So I couldn't plug my Pico in while the board was running because it would restart the board. And apparently you can plug a hub. This is the on-the-go cable, which just breaks out the extra pin for the ID pin. It uses that as a sense pin. Apparently you can plug a hub into here and then hot swap into that, but it didn't work for me either. So I had to go out and buy myself a B+. So this is my first normal form factor Pi that I've ever owned. Hey Chris, how you doing? Oh, Daniel's off to Dublin. Glitch in the Matrix in 2019. Andy, I see my spanner has reappeared. What? Spanner? Uh-oh, what have I done? What's spanner? What are we I don't know. So, I got a few things I want to do today. I was going to be working on this anyway, so I thought I might as well stream it. I wasn't going to stream, actually. It was only last minute yesterday. I changed my mind and decided to stream. So, this is the start of my prototype for my flashing and my testing rig or jig for my TinyPICO. So whether I'm going to go production in China or not I'm still getting quotes, still up in the air. I have signed my docs for Crowd Supply, so this looks like it will be going to Crowd Supply, which is pretty awesome. So I need to work out a way of manufacturing them, and part of that is how do I test them. Hey Marcos. Yes, well, so I've not played with it. I mean, apart from the Pi that I stuck in my Mark III, I've really not played with a Pi before. I mean, I've played with Linux in the past, but never really done anything on a Pi other than SSH into the other one and got that working. On the RF side, no news yet. It's still actually, it's not going to be delivered till tomorrow to the RF guy because of New Year's, even though I sent it DHL. It's taking a long time. Hello, Dubious Engineering. Did everyone check out? So, Dubious Engineering did a cover / remake / version of Blue Monday from New Order on his channel. Go check it out. It was really cool. I think someone's drinking. Maybe. So anyway, so the boards aren't at the RF guy yet. They'll be there tomorrow. And hopefully he'll start working on those straight away. So I'll find out some more about that. So anyway, yeah, I've been playing with the Pi. It's been pretty good. I've been learning a lot more about working at the terminal level than I've ever wanted to know. I've been coding in Python for the first time ever. Like, even though I've been making this board specifically for MicroPython, or it can be used for anything, but the whole point of the extra RAM on the bottom, everything else, is to make it a really versatile board for MicroPython. I don't code in MicroPython, so I figured I had to start coding in Python at some point. So the Pi was a really good beginning point. Hey Neffers. Hey Station 240. Yeah, don't rely on YouTube notifications. They are terrible. So anyway, so part of this is I need to build a testing rig to be able to test these on the production line. You were supposed to release it. It was really cool. I really enjoyed it. And I like how you built it up as you were going. I thought it was really clever. Yeah. So the big difference that makes okay, start again. I warn everyone, I've had 3 hours sleep. So the key thing to make sure your production, you know what? I'm just going to go big. Let's go big. Let's go full C on. Everyone, sit back. Okay. The only way to guarantee a successful production run in China, that is out of focus. That is out of focus. Why is my camera out of focus? Oh, what a start to 2019. Anyway, hey Yuri. So the way you guarantee you get a good production run in China is you have to provide a really good test rig that does as close to 100% coverage as possible. So it needs to be able to test all the solder joints on the board, and the only way to do that is to test all the peripherals on the board, and the only way to really do that is to be able to, like if it's something like a microcontroller board, you need to be able to flash it on the line, because I can't provide the chips pre-flashed, and I don't particularly want to provide them pre-flashed. So you need to be able to flash the board on the line, and then you need to test all about all the peripherals and all the functionality of the board on the line. And ideally you want to do it where the end result is just a red light or a green light. So whoever's running the test, because you can't guarantee who they're going to be, whether they have any idea about engineering at all. They could be the cheapest person, they could be the janitor that works at the company, you never know. So it needs to be as simple as a test where they plug the board in, and then at the end of the test it's a green light or a red light. If it's a green light, the board works. If it's a red light, you need to obviously work out how you're going to detect what's wrong with the board. Depending on the cost of the board and the performance of the line and how many you're making, you might just put the board aside, or you might collect them all and try to fix them afterwards. So it's really important for me to get a flashing and testing jig working and get it as simple as possible. Whether I use it myself for my own production, because I really should, because right now I test all my boards by, as you've seen, my benchtop power supply, and then I put my USB into it and I try to flash it and run some different code on it to see if everything's working. That's a really slow process when you're trying to do lots of boards. So whether I do it myself or whether I'm producing them in China, I need to provide at least one, if not 5, testing jigs. So that's what I've been working on, and I've made some really good progress. I'm really happy, and I'll go through everything I've done so far. But one of the things I want to do today is, if I just switch back again, is I need to clean up this and move it, like put it onto a better board. I've only got small boards though, which is really frustrating. I've got no spare large boards. Hey Dirk, I don't know yet. It's going to be a crowd supply campaign, so it really depends on how well that goes. Could be 150 boards, could be 1,000 boards, could be more. I don't know yet. No, you guys chat amongst yourselves. It's totally fine. That's what my chat is normally like. It's focusing on the HDMI cable in front of me. Yeah, it might be, but I really don't move the cable because it just popped out of the camera. Yeah, I don't really have a choice. Oh well, sorry about that. Well, don't touch the cable. So I need to clean this up, but I'll go through what it all is first, and then I'll explain and then I'll show you code, and I'll go through everything. Been a while since I've seen anything Raspberry Pi related. Yeah, I'm actually really enjoying working on the Pi. So let's just quickly go through this just to explain what everything is. I've got just a white OLED display, just a 128 by 64, which is connected directly to the Pi through I2C. And then I've got a whole lot of... So everything you see here right now, wired up, is everything to do with everything other than all the I/O on the board. I still have to wire up all the I/O, and the only way to do that on this board right now is to stick header pins on here. The final testing rig will have a custom PCB that'll have pogo pins. But until I've got only got a limited number of pogo pins, so until I get my custom PCBs made, I'm just going to solder header pins onto here right now. Best to test the boards while they're still penalizing. If you can, it's quicker. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to test them while they're still penalized. I'm not going to be able to build a rig that can do multi-boards like that. Or not easily. I mean, there's no reason why they won't be able to stick a panel of boards on this and move it around. Maybe. But it's going to be quite cumbersome, I think. So it might not be an option for me. It'd be great to be able to electrically test them on a panel first, but again, I don't know if that's going to be an option. So the plan is, okay, now let's take a step back. So right now you might not be able to see, there's a RGB LED over here, just some resistors that are connected to the different pins. I've got a whole lot of wires connected up kind of in a way that I can move them around and test them. I'll actually show you this working in a moment. And I've got an input button. And so the idea is I'll have to explain this in steps, but the idea is a board will come off the production line, right? They'll plug the board in to a USB that's connected to the Pi. It'll all be in a nice box. They'll stick it on the pogo pins, clamp it down, however they do it, and then straight away before anything happens, there'll be a display on the screen. So let me just power it up. Hold on a sec. Yeah, massive yellow push button. Well, it doesn't even have a thing on it. If we can get this white one out of the way. So it doesn't do anything. Right now it's not running the code on boot. What I'm doing is it? Okay, it's powering up. So what I do, just to show everyone, I'll go to my desktop. If I miss anything in chat, just ping me. So I want to get through the explanation of this as soon as I can, so I can move on to. Why is that flipped as well? Excuse me, my face camera is flipped. Seems like that's actually the way it should be, but I've never had it that way before. That's really weird. So when I look over the screen here, I've always had my view flipped. How interesting. Okay, whatever. So I'm just in Visual Studio Code. I'm doing it all in code. So, and I'll show you why in a moment. Yeah, that's really bizarre. I don't know why I've never flipped that view, but my window is actually on that side. And wow. Okay. So Visual Studio Code's got a built-in terminal, which is really cool, which I love using. And Visual Studio Code, what are you saying oh no for? Visual Studio Code is awesome. It's one of the best ever. Anyway, so I just do an SSH to the Pi. I think it's back to front at your end. This is my left hand. How does that work? Is that right? Or do you think that's my right hand? Been watching an imposter. That's my pierced eye. My left one. Does this look backwards to you now? Back to front now? That's your right hand. Okay, I'll put it back how it was. No worries. Yeah, mix it up for 2019. Okay. Left hand. Left eyebrow ring. Okay. I'm not an Atom user. I'm a Visual Studio Code user. Anyway, so I've not even changed my user or my password, because who cares? So I'm just logging into the Pi. So what I've done is I've set up in Visual Studio Code, if I can get it, in the settings, I've set up, if I go to remote, there's a remote option where you can start a server on the local host, listening at a port number. I fixed the world. Sorry, everyone. It looks wrong to me now, but I understand if it looks right to everyone else. Anyway, so there's a remote server you can set up in Visual Studio Code, which I set up. And then what you can do is, I've installed RMate on the Pi. I could show some text. I guess that's right, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. Fine. Well done. So I've installed RMate, and what RMate lets me do is I can, if I go to my TinyPICO programmer folder, just in my user folder, I can go RMate, and my file is called doit, doit.py, right? And what that does is lets me edit my code directly in Visual Studio Code on my Mac. So I don't have to be sitting in the terminal shell using, well, I'm never going to use Emacs or Vim, using Nano or Pico or something else. So I can now, this is all my Python code for my tester so far. As you can see, I got a bit of code there. That all now, I can edit it directly on the Pi from Visual Studio Code. It's awesome. It's like a life changer. Okay, just close that error. Yeah, I'm not a Vim guy. I'm not an Emacs guy. I'm a nice graphical IDE guy. So, this is my code. So what I'll do is I'll run through what it does right now so you can see it all running. Right? And then I'll go through how the code works and explain, and then go through all the stuff I need to do still, because there's stacks I need to do to get this working. So, I'll just show you my OLED, because that's pretty much all you're going to be able to see, or all that's going to do anything. So what I type in is Python doit.py, and I'll show it to you twice, because I'll let it run through the first time properly, and then I'll show you what happens the other way. So if I run it, it says, can everyone see this? It says press the button. And the reason it's saying press the button is it's detected that the Pico is there. It's done all its electrical testing, not its GPIO testing, but it's done electrical testing. I'll go through that in a moment. And it's done its, it agrees that there is a TinyPICO in the test rig, not the USB port, in the test rig. So as soon as I push the button, it will go and look for the USB port and see if it can talk to the TinyPICO board directly, right? Via serial, not via hardware. So I push the button, it finds the TinyPICO. It's going too far. I should have zoomed in. I might start that again. I'm going to start that again. Whoa, didn't like me flashing it that way. Let me just focus the camera. Hello, I said focus the camera. It's going to be a day it's just going to be a terrible day. Okay, so, set. We'll try it again. So we press a button. Oops. It finds the USB port. So it found the TinyPICO. It checks the chip revision and makes sure that they haven't given me a wrong revision chip. It does an erase on the board. Then it flashes the board with whatever firmware I want to have. So it's flashing it right now. Takes a while to flash, unfortunately. Not really anything I can do about that. Then right now it says it's testing, but it doesn't test, and then it says the end, just for now. So those other steps actually did what it shows that it was doing, right? Except for the testing of the PSRAM. I'm going to skip that right now because the version that I'm flashing the board with doesn't have PSRAM enabled right now. So that's everything post assuming that the board is actually successfully connected on the device. Now there's a lot more tests to run, but I need to get to the next step now, which is wiring up the board. So that's what I'm going to do on the stream today. But what I wanted to show you first was, if I just start that again, put it back on press button, right? Now watch this. Now I have to simulate this right now because I don't have the pogo pins connected. But I've got a whole lot of wires connected up, and they're connected to GPIOs, and it's reading to see whether there's a short on the ground, which means is the ground high, right? Hey Mike, that means that it can't find, that means that there's no board plugged in, right? It also checks to see whether the 5 volt pin is present, and there's 5 volts on it. It checks to see if the 3.3 volts pin is present, and whether there's 3 volts on there. And I'm also going to do the same thing for the battery pin to check that there's battery voltage going to the pin. I'm not sure, excuse me, I'm not sure how I'm going to check charging of a battery yet. That's a whole different issue. So if I now pull off some of these pins, you'll see what happens. So it's just sitting there, press button, right? If I pull this pin out, it comes up showing error, 3 volt is missing. So this is a 3 volt pin wire. So this is connected to the I/O on the Raspberry Pi that is the 3 volt sensing pin that will be connected to the pogo pin on the 3-volt pin of the Pico. So if I can't find the 3 volts, I should actually do it in order. Let me go back to, and you see there's the red light because there's an error. I need to go back and work out which one was which. One of them is a ground. Oh, that's right, I was doing each one individually. If I do this one, if I press the button, it does a reset. Right now it's saying that there's no 5-volt pin. So the order is, it does ground, it checks for ground, then it checks for 5 volts, and it checks for 3 volts. So if I unplug that, and I've got to remember, how does it check for ground? I cannot remember. Right, it would be this one, I think. Maybe. No, it's not that one, sorry. Maybe I've disconnected the ground sense one. There you go, it's all live. What can I say? Hey Gavin. Happy New Year, mate. I can't remember which one I set up for that. That's really annoying. Oh, right, I know what it is. Sorry, try it again. I've got to put it into high, not floating. Okay. Why is it not showing the no board state? Okay, I must have broken something. But anyway, so what it should be doing first is saying, I can't find the board at all. It looks for the ground state, right? So the ground pin is pulled high, and by default, and if without the board being plugged in, it doesn't get shorted, so it shows high. And then as soon as you plug the board in to the test jig, it pulls ground low, and that's how it gets past that. Good morning, Jess. Hey, Jonathan. Right, and so assuming it gets past that, the next thing it checks to see whether there's 5 volts on there. And if there's no 5 volts, it shows error, and we know that if the person using the jig can see that it's actually plugged in the board, but it can't see 5 volts, that means there's likely a short on the ground and 5 volt line. Thanks, Christian. Right? Then assuming it can find the 5 volts, so let's plug the 5 volts back in. It then says, hang on, it can't find 3 volts. That would mean that there's power going to the board because it's got ground and it's got 5 volts, but the 3.3 volt regulator is not working. So then that's the next step, right? And assuming the 3.3 volt regulator is working, which is this line here, then it's going to say, hey, it's okay to test the board. We found the board, we found all the power, there's no shorts, I can detect 3 volts, I can detect 5 volts, you're good to start testing the board. Does that make sense? So, and the flip side is, if none of those are plugged in, then the board does this. Or if it finds a short on ground, then see it changes to load board. So it thinks there's no board plugged in, and there's a blue light. Blue light means load the board. Red light means there's an error. Green light means success at the end. Plus there'll be information on the screen. So if there's no board, if it thinks there's no board present, it sits telling the user to load the board. Now obviously me showing all this in English is kind of stupid because there's a very high likelihood that if I make the boards in China, the person who's testing it won't speak English. They may be able to read English, they may not. But what will likely happen is, once this is all working, when I provide this, I also provide a video of it working in English, me talking about it. And what they will do is at best, they'll have someone there that can read English. At worst, they will transcribe all of the steps into Chinese for the person who's testing, and every screen will be an explanation in Chinese. So yeah. So all this part is working. I just have to manually invoke it, like you're seeing, because I don't have the ability right now because everything's not wired up to the board. So that's one of the things I'm going to do today. So my next steps are, from a building point of view, as I said, so there's lots of I/O left on the Pi, but there's actually not. Every single I/O pin on the Pi is already wired up to the Pico on my PCB that I'm making. And what I should do now, I forgot to do it, I'm going to load up Eagle. Are you planning on sharing the code for the Raspberry Pi to serve an example of other projects? I don't know. it's very custom to what I'm doing, very specific to what I'm doing. I might, yeah. I mean, I'm not against sharing it. I just hadn't really thought about it. Also, it's my first Python code, so I'm a little bit nervous about it all. I'm just going to bring up my programmer to show you what I'm doing with it. Hey Ben, what about just showing a big number on the screen, as in you showing a state, then provide a document of what each number... Well, yeah, I could also just put graphics on there to show a graphic state. Right now, this is just for me. Like, what you're seeing on the screen is for my own purposes while I'm coding. Well, what I end up showing on there in the final test jig will depend on if it's being used by me, if it's going overseas, and... Hey, Peter! Long time! 2018 had some bugs. Sorry to hear, mate, but glad to see you. Happy New Year. What happens if the board test fails? Well, they try to... We'll talk about that soon, Dirk, because it really depends on what the fail is, and how I can determine what the fail is, and whether it happens on the power side before the software test runs, or whether it happens on the software test. So yeah, I can add sound, absolutely. When the test is finished, it can beep. If there's an error or a fail, it can go beep, 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 beep. All sorts of things. And again, it depends on how many I'm providing, and if they're going to be sitting next to each other. There's no point. If there's one person testing 4 boards on 4 jigs and they all start beeping, it makes it very hard to determine. Does that make sense? But yes, lots of options still. I'm not there yet. I'm not on the making it user-friendly, foolproof yet. I'm still on the how do I get everything working that I want to get working. Like getting it to flash the Pico was a big enough challenge. I might have missed something. Why the Raspberry Pi? Because, let me just bring up my, before I forget. Because I was in the middle of talking about it. I'll get to why the Pi in a second. But here's my... I've changed some stuff on it, and right now the header is flipped 180 degrees because it's still set up to go for the 0, as you can see. I haven't flipped it around yet, but as you can see, it looks a bit weird. Let me just turn off the unrouted for now. But every I/O on the Pico is connected to an I/O on the Pi. Okay, I don't know what the conversation with Nostrils here is all about. I've got this is the header here for the OLED screen. There's obviously the button. There's the RGB LED sitting here. Good morning. Hey, Stephen. I like creating functionality before form, but with an idea of what form you're after. Right, so what I'm doing on this, okay, so I've never used a Pi before. I've never coded in Python before. I've never made a test jig before, and I've never made an automatic flasher before, right? So there's a lot of firsts in this. I have designed PCBs before, as you might know, right? And obviously I designed the Pico, and I understand the workings of the Pico, the TinyPICO really well. So what I've been doing is, as I've been designing the wiring on the breadboard, I've been building a PCB at the same time, and I've been coding it step by step at the same time. So every time I get something implemented, I move on to the next section, then I move on to the next section, then I move on to the next section. Yep, this is my first Python ever that I've ever written, other than print hello. Now obviously all the Python I'm writing right now is on the Pi. So the reason I'm using the Pi is I need to be able to automatically flash. Let me just go back to here for a second. I need to be able to automatically flash the TinyPICO. So it's just like that because I interrupted during a flash. And I need to not only be able to flash it, I need to be able to talk to it, flash it. I need to be able to send Python commands to it or MicroPython commands to it. And I need to be able to control it from another computer. And it's got to be on a production line. So it can't be a laptop. It needs to be something that's got I/O broken out. So I need to be able to, I could make it a second TinyPICO. Well, not really, because I don't have enough I/O on it. I could use another microcontroller board, but that's actually quite hard to do. And I can't flash one microcontroller from another one. So I needed an operating system and the tools to be able to talk to it and flash it. And I don't know of anything else other than the Raspberry Pi, or providing a full-on computer somewhere. But since you're a programmer in other languages, well, I said to C, C++, you know your way in Java. From that, Python should be too hard. Yeah, like I've been more intimidated by Python than I totally get it. Like I'm coding in it totally fine, right? It's just that it's just another language for me to learn, and I've been putting off. I haven't had a reason to learn it. I'm the type of guy that, or type of person that learns by doing, not by reading. Like I can watch videos and read books on Python, but until I actually have a use for it, I'm not going to really get into it. So I knew this was on the horizon for quite a while. I've been putting it off, but I finally jumped in, decided to do it, and it's been pretty good. And I've spent a lot of time on Google, right? I mean, the basic syntax of Python is pretty straightforward. I still keep sticking brackets on my if statements because I'm done that for 40 years. And yeah, some of the concepts are still a bit weird. I had to learn how to run processes in the background and be able to intercept the communication through the pipe and read stuff and all sorts of things. So it's been a pretty full on. Yeah, I'll be using the Pi to test everything on the Pico. Not the, or maybe not the Bluetooth. I don't have to test the Bluetooth. If I need to test the antenna, which means that if I test the Wi-Fi, then that should be all. The Bluetooth, whether the Bluetooth works or not, is a stack issue. If the antenna is working, it becomes a but yeah, it's a stack on the chip. So yeah, Wi-Fi is enough. I'm sorry if I missed anyone's questions. It all went past really quickly. Yeah, I don't care. You guys can all talk about nose hair. It's totally fine. The only alien. Hello. Am I cycling power after you have flashed? Just on the Pico. The Pico does a reset after it's flashed, and I have the ability. I have one of the I/O on the Pi that is set up to. I can do a hard reset on the Pico whenever I want. I can short reset and ground via the Raspberry Pi. So not only can I just tell the Pico to restart itself through a REPL, but I could also do it through hardware. Yeah, so the whole white space thing and the, like at least with Visual Studio Code, I can use tabs or spaces. It converts everything to spaces as it's going. But yeah, when I was using Pico or Nano in Terminal, it wasn't, and I was just getting errors everywhere because it was mixing spaces and tabs. Did I miss anything else? Yeah, the whole white space thing is weird. I'm getting used to it. Yeah, it's just old habits. Everything about the way I code is just, it's being pushed to its limits. I got to constantly remember I'm in Python mode. Put a resistor on your target voltage supply line to limit max current, and check the voltage after the resistor in use. Majority of photos have a simple line with shorted caps. Yeah, I'm not using any SOT 23.6, thank God. There's pretty much, there's a couple of parts people can put upside down, but then they actually physically, there'll be no 3 volts or anything else. But yeah, putting so there are resistors on the Raspberry Pi side. I mean, there's a whole bunch of resistors on there, and I've got a lot more to add. I've got my box of 10Ks and stuff here to work on. Yeah, there's a lot more protection on the Pi side, and there's a lot more I'm doing. So as I said, as I'm adding stuff on the breadboard, I'm adding stuff onto the PCB, and I'm doing it bit by bit. So here's the resistors I added just before to be able to pull up and reset the ground lines, to reset the board. I'm using a BSS 138 to be able to drop to lift my 3.3 volts to 5 volts to check the 5 volt line, because obviously the Pi is 3.3 volts for I/O. Shorter caps and smoky jig, just make sure you can short BDD to VSS with no worries. Sure, I just got to work out what value resistors I need to stick on there. It's a pain trying to find a tab when it thinks there is one. Yeah, well, that's why it's nice in Visual Studio Code. No matter what you do, no matter what you press, it treats it as spaces. So if I just keep hitting tab, it just keeps adding 4 spaces for me, which is really nice. Can you measure how many milliamps it's using when powered from different pins? Um, there might be a way from the pi. I don't know. I wasn't planning on doing that. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of mechanical. There's a lot of power stuff I'm not going to be able to test, and so okay. So back to the question of what am I going to do if they detect a faulty board? It really depends on what my production run is going to be. The fewer boards I'm doing, the less testing I'm going to be able to get the factory to do and still be cost viable. Because it's all time. They charge for all the testing. And it's just as likely that something will go wrong on the line mechanically as it will that there's other things. You know what I mean? Like whether, as Peter said, that a part's been put on back to front, or not aligned properly, or it could just be a bad part. I mean, doing something like reading the chip, reading the TinyPICO to make sure it's the right revision. I mean, that only occurred to me the other day. I added that in after the fact because I thought, hang on, like what happens if if they stick a revision 0 on there? I'm screwed because Wi-Fi won't work, for instance, or not properly. But what's if Espressif release a new revision chip and that gets put on there and that's not been tested by me and there's other problems with it, right? So it checks and says it must be revision 1. So like a lot of testing I can do, but if there's a bad part or a short and something that's going to fry my board, well, I don't know what I can do about that. But with regards to what happens to the board if it's a faulty one, well, if it's a post flashing thing, then it might be worth looking at. It could just be something as simple as a bridge or something on a chip. If it's if it's something that the line, like the supervisor on the line can turn around and say, okay, well, hang on, we plug this in and it's found 5 volts and it can't find 3.3 volts. Well, there's a problem with the regulator placement or something, right? And they can go back and they need to look at the placement and the reflowing and stuff like that. That's a production line issue. If it can find the 3.3 volts, but it can't, if it can't find the USB, if it finds all the power, but it can't detect the TTY USB 0, that means that the serial chip's not working properly, right? Either it's a faulty chip or something else. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do about that yet. I don't know whether, so a lot of, sorry, I feel like I'm rambling. There's I understand a lot about it, but it really depends on who I'm going to use for my manufacturing, right? So a lot of manufacturing will say, look, I'm paying for 100 boards, so I'll get 100 boards. They might go through 150 to get there. Those 50, technically they're not mine, I'm not paying for them. Whether they get scrapped or whatever, I don't know. Some of them might be fixable. But it really depends if there's a faulty board or there's a batch of faulty boards. They're going to run one through once they've set up the line, they'll run one through and they'll test it and make sure everything's fine, right? And then they go into production. Let's say they, 50 boards in, they get 5 in a row that are faulty, like that won't power up properly or something. Well, that means that there's something's changed, something's happened. They need to stop, go back and have a look at the boards, try to determine what's wrong with them. Because there's no point thinking, okay, those 5 are faulty, but the next 5 are going to be fine. It really depends on how many they go through. I might be able to work out a deal that they can send me the faulty ones, depending on what's wrong with them. If it's an assembly issue, maybe I can just fix them. I can rework them myself. If it's not an assembly issue and they all power up correctly, everything else, but for some reason something else isn't working on them, that could be a faulty part or something. I don't know how I'd detect that. I don't know what I'd do with something like that. Hey, Eric. Happy New Year, mate. Spacing with Python has prevented me from wanting to code in it, and I'm stuck using spaces for list style. It's okay, I have to say. I'm just going to get used to it. I mean, I tab indent all of my code anyway, so the formatting for me is the same. I just have to stop. I got to remember to stick a colon at the end and not put brackets around my if statements. I do that a lot. So you've seen that running. Let me go back to the code and give you a squiz at the code just really quickly, because it's not hard code. Let me see if I can make it bigger. Why did that not make it bigger? View. How do I have my code bigger? Anyone know in Visual Studio Code how to make the font bigger? I know I can do it in settings, but there must be a a nicer way of doing it. Oh, there we go. Can everyone read that? Is that big enough? Oh, go away. I don't care about linter. Did I miss anyone's questions before? Sorry if I did. So, there's obviously a whole bunch of imports, stuff, different things I'm using. I'm using the Adafruit library for the 1306 for the display. Hey, tucked in. Also, hi to anyone that I didn't say hi to that I forgot or missed along the way. This pill stuff is just for the image library for the display. Subprocess is a module that allows me to run processes both inline and in the background, which is very cool. Glob is a module that allows me to get the global state and the global lists of anything that the OS can see, basically. So I've got two main variables I'm tracking, a state and an error, and I'm expanding these as I'm going. So the state is just the process that goes through in order. So it goes through, it boots the Pi, the load board state is 0, the searching for the USB is 1, checking chip is 2, erasing, flashing, then it'll be RAM test, then it'll be IO test, and everything else along the way. And then I've got a whole bunch of error codes, and I'm adding to those as I'm going. I've got a jump in numbers just here because I realised that these two should have been added earlier, but I didn't want to renumber all of my code yet. I'll worry about renumbering all of that once they're all in there. But it does, I can detect things like no ground present, no VBus, no 3 volt. Haven't obviously done the GPIO test or RAM or Wi-Fi yet. I've got failed to find USB working, and I've got failed to flash working. Yes, Big Clive's stream was a massive one. I watched on and off bits and pieces. I can't understand half of what they were saying. Those accents. Pretty crazy. I will eventually have every single pin listed here, but right now I don't. And I'm using... so there's two ways of addressing pins on the Pi. I'm using BCM, which is using the IO. So if it's IO 12 or IO 9, then it's pin 12 or pin 9. There's another way of doing it. We can just use, I think it's board, and you can actually just use the pin numbers. There's 40 pins, so you can say pin 3, pin 4, pin 5. But I'm using BCM. It's just easier for me to work. So I'm setting a whole bunch of inputs or outputs depending on what the pins are for. I'm obviously setting reset true because I don't want the board to keep resetting itself. Initializing the library, doing it. Now, the way the library works on the Pi, I hate it. The display library, it's quite different. I mean, I could probably wrap it all in my own code, but you need to create an image and then draw into the image and then put the image onto the display. You can't just say like display begin and then display draw a line or display draw some text. You need to create an image, and then you need to set up the image as a drawing area. Then you, like if you want to clear the screen, you do a draw rectangle, right? And if you need to load up your fonts, like I've got to clear the display, I need to draw it to it, and then clear the buffer, and then do a display.display. But I'm deliberately not doing that on the clear right now because I don't want to display. I don't want to do multi-passes of displayed. Best thing I programmed was an RGB controller based on Tiny84. Yeah, like working. It's just the library, the way the library is implemented. I think. I mean, I've used these displays on ESPs and Arduinos and whatever Atmel chips, and the libraries for those are much nicer and cleaner to work with. I've got just a reset test, which just goes through and clears a whole lot of states. One thing that threw me completely was these globals. So if you have a global variable, which means the variable is just initialized at the start, it's global to the whole script. But if you reference that variable inside a method, inside a function, if you're just reading the value, it's fine. You can read that global variable. But if you write to it, if I say like state equals 0, that creates a local version of it. It doesn't write 0 to the global variable, even though it's a global variable. You have to actually declare those variables inside the method that they're global, so it knows to write them as global. Otherwise, it by default always creates a local variable. And I think it does that for efficiencies, like in memory. But that threw me for a while. Yeah, I kept resetting error to -1 and it kept throwing error 1 again. Yeah, and the no semicolon thing, you can actually put semicolons and it doesn't really care, because I've accidentally put them in a few times. I set my own setup color for the LED, so I can just pass it true, true, true. I mean, I could have done it as values. I just wanted it to be solid colors. Yeah, Peter says, ouch. It's just a matter of getting used to it. I've got some flashing code here for what I'm using. I'm just using ESP tool, but this is doing it. This is blocking, so I don't actually use this method, but I've kept it there just as reference. It does a reset at the start and then just runs a big loop. And the very first thing it does, if there's ever an error state, no matter what it's doing in the loop, it throws the error and waits for a button press. So that's how I could pull something out and the error popped up straight away. And of course, I'm writing all my code everywhere without doing any sleeps other than just slowing the loop down. I don't need the thing to be running at 100 frames a second. Or 100 loops a second, not visual frames, if you know what I mean. Else if is C, elif is Python. Yeah, C's got else if and else if and else. So I do slow down the loop a little bit, but otherwise I've got no blocking code in there anyway. And so if there's no error, it goes through and it's constantly checking the VBus, ground, and 3-volt state. Local copy of a global with the same name is rather less than ideal. Right, but that's why you put the global statement. Well, you think it's less than ideal, but it's the way Python works with its memory. The cost of scanning a global variable from the heap is much more expensive than a local variable within the method. So from a performance and a memory point of view, it's much quicker to deal with local variables. So in a function, it assumes you want it local unless you explicitly say it's a global variable. It's just that's my understanding, the way it works. Anyway, so I'm constantly checking I'm calling them sense pins, because at any point, if it can't find 3 volts or ground is shorted to 3 volts, or can't find VBus, it throws an error, because that means mechanically something has changed on the board. I'm using a Raspbian Lite, this stretch, whatever the latest one is, kernel 4.14. Is the flashing sensitive if the Pi would do some heavy processing in the background? No, I'm not running any desktop stuff. It's just a light version, and I don't know. It takes up a bit of power. Actually, it doesn't. The speed is just serial. I'm running serial as fast as I can. It's just how long it takes to flash is really just a byproduct of how slow serial is, I believe. Hey, Helmet. I watched Bird Box as well. I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was a really clever take on the zombie type film. Obviously not zombies. Well, whatever. Yeah, really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. And there were birds in the box too, yes. Back to the code. Stop distracting me. No, it was a really good film. I really enjoyed it. And so, yeah, if it can find ground, if ground is high, that means there's a short and there's no board there. So therefore it says load the board. But if any of the other ones, like if there's no board, load the board. But if there is a board, check VBus and check 3.3 volts. If they're okay, then it does the push button. And the whole reason of the push button is I could have just have it automatically start the test as soon as you put the board in the jig. But I didn't want to. I wanted to make a push button to start and then a push button to reset if there's an issue, or just push button to start, have a result. I want the tester to commit to the start. If that makes sense, right? That's why, at the moment, that's why there's a push button. And then it goes through, and these are all the states in a row. So it goes through searching, so just doing a glob.glob of... So what glob.glob does is that'll return a list of all the devices that match that. In this case, it should just be one. Unless there's 2 boards plugged in, then there'll be TTY USB 0, TTY USB 1. So it just does that, and if it finds it, great. Otherwise, it shows an error, but that error doesn't actually get shown because straight away this error catch makes it go to the other part, which is fine. And if it finds it okay, I've got a switch state method, and I did it in a method on purpose. So you might have noticed that when it said like erasing and then success, it sat there for a couple of seconds before it went to the next step. I'm slowing it down right now so I can see the results while I'm testing. But the idea, so what this is, that WT means wait 2 seconds, go to state 2, set the error code to -1. But ideally what would happen is that wait would be nothing. I'll just make that 0, or I'll override it in the method, because it should just go straight through. Push button start is better than auto, but consider adding a jack to parallel the button. Or a foot pedal. I don't want to parallel the button, because I don't want, again, depending on how many boards I'm getting made and where these are going. Okay, you got to remember that like production, like surface mount PCBA production in scale are designed to do thousands of boards an hour. If I have a super successful campaign, right, and I'm not being negative Nancy, I'm not going to, right? Like, you know, I hope I can do 200 to 500 boards. Like, it would be awesome if I could sell 500 boards on crowd supply. But the fact is, I'm never going to do a quantity on crowd supply that's going to be to scale. So I don't have to worry about people having to test boards coming off a run that are doing thousands an hour, right? My whole production run might only be 500 or 200, right? Or even 1,000. I don't need them to do 1,000 in an hour. I'm not going to be going to that tier manufacturing plant. So I'm not going to be providing 10 boards where they have to run 10 at a time and they load 10 up and they can click one button and make all of them start, right? If that's my requirement, and because I've sold that many boards, I'll quite happily change this whole setup, right? I'm 99.999% sure that it's not going to be the case, which is fine. So I don't believe I'll be sending more than one test jig. I might send 2. One person can handle 2, pushing 2 buttons, right? The chances are they're setting up one and pushing the button, and then they're going to go and grab the next board, set up the second one, and push the button, right? I don't believe they're going to want to set them all up and push the button at the same time. Like, I don't see that as being something that is going to make them any more efficient. I think them parallelizing, loading, and testing, alternating back and forwards is going to be much more efficient. Yeah, that's my belief, right? But I could be wrong. TinyPICO is a great creation. It may go a long way. It might, Peter, and it might over time. I might sell a few thousand of them over a year, but I don't believe it's going to be that big a hit at the start, like as in the quantity. So yeah, and the same with the foot pedal. Like sure I can add input for a foot pedal, but the button's going to be right next to the loading. I want them to load it. I want them to make sure it's in place properly, and then commit to pushing a button that's right next to it. Like, the whole thing's going to be this big. Like the whole test jig. It's going to be quite small. On my old work, we always use Visual Basic to make test software. Easy to make UI. Yeah, that's okay if the test software is running off a computer. And I know the Pi is a computer, but I'm talking about with a screen and a mouse and a keyboard or whatever else. This all has to be on a production line with no input other than one button. One button, one LED. I mean, I can make it more complex, but the more complex I make it, the more it's going to cost me to get them tested, and the harder it's going to be, and the more issues will happen on the line, or more things will get lost along the line. This has to be really, really simple for people to use. I switched computers in the beginning, might have missed it. You had a Pi Zero in the beginning. So I can't use the Pi Zero because it doesn't have it's got wrong screen. It's got a power connector, and then it's got this USB, which is not a full USB port. So I can't just plug things in and out of it. Or I can't have a cable there and plug a Pico in and out. Because it's not hot swappable. It's not a full USB port. It's an on-the-go port, which means it's useless. Right? You know, I need a test jig where they can pull a Pico out, plug a new one in, put it on, test it, pull it out, plug a new one in. Can't do that on the Pi Zero W. Or the A+, by the way. The A+ has the same, even though it's a Type A port, it's the same on-the-go, half-assed USB implementation. So be careful if you get an A. What did I miss? If you're using Pogos, you could put the button below the board when it's aligned. No, because the button needs to be used for a reset as well. So if there's an error, to start the test again. So yeah, I don't want to put it underneath. There's no need to put it underneath. I got plenty of room. I mean, I can provide them a programming jig this big if I need to. You can't even see my hands. You know what I mean? Size is not the issue, although I don't particularly want to make custom PCBs that big. Yeah, I got plenty of room. That's fine. The button will sit next to the screen, so it's nice and easy to see. What else did I miss? Don't know. Anyway, so what am I up to? So let's go back to the code. Is anyone interested in the deep dive? I'm happy to get going through it. So then it does the checking the chip. So basically what I'm doing is using ESP tool on the command line. So I'm calling a sub process a check output, and what that basically that's an older syntax. There's now a run, but works the same way. I do a check output and tell the results to go to the shell, and so it launches a process, pipes stuff to the shell, and then puts it into the chip variable, and then I do a if. The string stuff in Python is phenomenal, right? Once you start playing in Python and playing with strings, I never want to touch C ever again. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to. Yes, I love the code walkthrough. Cool, I'll keep going. If you can hit the via pins from the bottom for all signals, the board clamping can push the button as it catches down. Positive, move the action, plugging a LED will be a pain. If possible, remove the action of plugging in a lead. I can't remove the plugging in a lead. I have to because I have to check the USB. None of the USB is broken out on the board, right? On purpose. I don't want to ship I can't make my boards a debug board for production, right? And even if I I don't have any space. Go back in. I have no space on the back to stick more pins for Pogo testing, right? For the USB and for programming. But even if I could, I still need to test the USB port, right? I mean, you'd be surprised how many times a serial port doesn't show up, and it's just because the USB port has got a dry joint or something else. Like all needs to be tested, right? People, when they get these boards, are going to be using the USB port, which means they need to test the USB port. And the only way to test the USB port is to plug something into it. So it doesn't make any sense to try to bypass that process. And again, we're not talking about people having to test 100 boards an hour, right? Even if whoever I choose can make 100 boards in an hour and the whole order is only 100 boards, they can sit and test them over a day, right? I don't need them delivered back to me in an hour. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Like, it's not millions of boards that are being made. There's no time requirement on this. As it is already, people are quoting me 3 to 4 weeks from start to end delivery, right? I mean, they're going to get parts, they have to fit it into their thing, they have to load their thing, like their feeders, they're going to fit it into their schedule and then make them. You know, I don't know what rates they can make their boards at, but they're in no hurry to give me my boards back, right? 3 to 4 weeks. So, you know, I get that it might be monotonous for someone to sit there pulling the cable in and out, but there's no other way to test them. So, yeah. I mean, anything fancier I do to test the board means that I'm skipping testing a very crucial part on the board. Okay, let's go back. I hope that makes sense. Yeah? Okay. Let's go back to here. So, yeah. So, basically, if this line in this is basically saying if chip.contains, it doesn't search inside. It's just really nice. And it's the same syntax if I'm doing it inside a list or a string or anything else. It's really nice. So if it finds that, because if I do an ESP tool, let me just grab this. I'm just going to stop the... So I'm on the Pi right now. So if I just issue this command, ESP tool, you'll see this is what it returns. A whole bunch of information, right? So I could pull the MAC address off, and I think I'm going to. Another thing I wouldn't mind doing is creating a log and saving a log of the build. I would like to get my programmer back if I'm doing a short run. I might leave it there, I don't know, or I might at least get them to give it back to my guy in China, and he can extract a log for me. So I've got some logging code already, but I've got it disabled right now. So there's quite a few things I can pull off from the ESP tool, but being able to check that it's this is very important for me. Can everyone read that okay? And I guess also checking the flash size, but there's only one flash size for that particular chip. So that's all it's doing, is pumping that to the terminal, but it's sticking it inside this chip variable, and I'm checking a whole bunch of stuff. They're essential if you can get access to them, Peter. Right? If I, like, for instance, I'm not going to be able to set up the internet and have it send it to me. I don't know where this is getting made. There might be Wi-Fi where I am. There might not be Wi-Fi where I am. I'm pretty sure that even if there is, there's going to be firewalls, and I'm not going to be able to just log it to my own database somewhere, because there's going to be, you know, I'd have to run some VPN software. I'd have to get their Wi-Fi credentials. There's a whole lot of stuff I'd have to do. And then the more requirements I ask of the testing company for stuff like that, the more companies I'm going to eliminate out of the process, because a lot of them won't do it, or the more chance that something's going to go wrong in the testing process. So getting it at least into a log, onto the Flash, onto the Pi, and I can have, you know, my guy in China, Joe, I can just have him grab the file and send it to me. At least that way I can have a look, right? And I can do stuff like log every single board they plug in. And they might plug in 130 boards, and I might ship 100, and I know that there were 30 boards that they plugged in that they didn't send me. Maybe they're faulty or whatever. Or at least, yeah, there's quite a few things I can do, but it's just all, they're all the nice to haves at the end of the process. Manufacturer refused to ship untested boards. If we ordered 5,000 boards, they usually last 5,100 and only shipped. Okay, plus trust. That's right. Like, yeah, I don't know how many they're going to make. You know, obviously at 100 boards, that you know, they don't want to make 150. That costs them too much money. But they're obligated to get me 100 working boards. You know, if they need to go through 150 to get me 100, or there's something wrong with their process, not with mine. Yeah, does that make sense? Yeah. Like if 100 boards can pass the testing system perfectly fine, then and 50 of them don't, that's a really high fail rate. And I mean, most companies won't even accept a 1% fail rate. China's funny about anything that relies on overseas service. Yeah, I don't want to do anything that requires internet connectivity. We always logged all tested boards in a text file, and we got them to ship. Yeah, I don't want them to ship me the text file. I want my guy to ship it. I don't want them to grab it and then potentially change it. Does that make sense? I don't want to deliberately go into anything with no trust, but I've got a guy in China. I've got a project manager in China, so that's what he's there for. Add a shutdown button for the Pi so it can be software shut down before powered on. Or you miss. What do you mean, embedded hobbyist? I really haven't used a Pi very much. Why would the flash card be trashed? Oh, I mean if they pull it out. Yeah, I don't want them pulling it out. But if that's what you mean, yeah, okay. You save the log SD card and have your guy in China send that back. Yeah, well then I don't want him to send the card back. Well, there is no there's no SD card on the Pi, I don't believe, other than the flash card. Yeah. So I don't want to stick another board on there with an SD card. He just needs to get me the file. It's fine. Like he's got internet. You know what I mean? Like I can get him to plug it in his office, and I can connect to it remotely and grab it. That's fine. Like getting it is going to be fine. Yes, China is worried about everyone's servers. Anyway, back to here. Then it does an erase. Now I've got a whole lot of commented out code here, and I'll explain why. But I'm just doing an array. So everything's using SP tool, which is nice. Another reason why I'm using a Pi, obviously the Arduino IDE now has command line tools. They're still very new. I don't know how to use them properly. But when you plug an ESP32 or 8266 into Arduino or anywhere else, and you tell it to do stuff, it's just calling ESP tool in the background. So basically, I can do whatever that can do just on the command line. And because it's Python, it just makes sense for me to do it on the Pi. It's different when you don't 100% trust your partners. The manufacturer was 30-minute car ride from us. Right into the car, yeah. Yeah, that's why, look, I would not be manufacturing in China if I didn't have a guy on the ground over there. I don't think I'd be manufacturing in China. So, instead of doing it via the Arduino. No problem. Yeah, it's really easy to do, and ESP tool is really well documented. Just look at the GitHub repo. It's all open source. I would highly recommend powering your Pi from a battery for ensuring clean shutdown. Best solution I've seen. Cool. I'll have a look at that, Peter. Thank you. Yeah, I've seen the Life Pro 4 the life powered battery plus AC. Yep, I can work all that out. I just don't want to give them any reason to not be able to test. So anyway, back to here. So this raised flash, this is, again, it's a blocking call, and I get no status from it. When you do, let me just jump forward a sec. When you do flashing, so, and what the flashing does, I've had to do a hack here with the ESP tool, unfortunately. I'm not sure if anyone's seen what happens when you tell it to flash the chip. Actually, I'll show you what happens. Actually, no, because I've disabled it. Right. So what the flashing does is it writes a whole bunch of stuff, like you see here, and then it starts flashing, and it shows you a percentage update, which is really nice. But what it does, it puts a /R at the start of each percentage update. And what that says is stomp the current line and replace it with this. So there's no carriage return at the end. So that way, instead of getting it logging percentage like this down the screen, it keeps it on the same line, which is really nice when you're looking at it in terminal. But when I'm trying to scrape the data, it means I get no carriage return, which means I don't get each line as a percentage. Because it takes quite a while to flash, what was happening is it was sitting there saying flashing, and I had no feedback. And it was a blocking call, and I had no way of knowing what it was up to, and it looked like it had frozen. Excuse me. And I didn't want to give whoever's testing it any reason to think that the process had broken. So it took me quite a while to work out how to do it in the background. So, which is what this code over here is doing. So what you can do is what's called a popen, which runs the same command but in the background, and you have to pass it all the bits to the command as separate comma delimited entries, as you can see here. Right? Everything gets broken out into its own entry, and it concatenates it back together again. And then what you do is you tell it for the errors and the standard out to be piped. And so that it's like going to a terminal shell, but doesn't open a terminal shell. It just puts it into standard out. And then what I do is I run a loop. And so what I can poll the process. I get a process back, P. I can poll the process, and if the poll is none, it means it's running. And what I'm doing is I'm actually reading a line at a time from standard out, decoding it, which basically gives me it back as a string, or it gets rid of garbage I don't need. And then inside that data, I can check for things. So what I'm doing is I'm looking for, because a whole lot of stuff gets printed first, and then it starts the flashing. So all I care about is the progress. So I'm looking for any line that's got a percent in it. And what it does on the line is it shows a bracket, number, percent, bracket. So I'm looking for the first bracket. If there's a percent in the line, grab the first bracket, grab the last bracket, and then I'm grabbing that bit of data here and displaying it on the screen with a nice big font. So that allows me to show a progress of what's happening, and you can see that it's not locked up. And then at the end of it, it'll either say it was a fail, or it says hash of data verified after it does its data. I'm looking for that, and when that happens, I show success. Does that make sense? Does this have to flash the ESP with a custom program to do the actual test? Yeah, well, no. I'll get to that in a second. Good question. If I don't come back to you, ask me again, Electron Ask, because that's a very good question, and that's the next step of my testing. And I've got a good solution for that. So that all happens in the background, right? I was going to do the same thing for the arrays. Okay, this is all the code here for the arrays. The problem is the arrays doesn't give me any progress. Now the arrays is much quicker. The arrays only takes about 3 seconds, or depends. If the board's empty, the arrays takes like 2 seconds. If the board has got a complete flash on it, right, it does like a format of the flash area, like it zeroes it all out, and that can take time. That can take up to 5 or 6 seconds. So right now when I'm erasing and reflashing a board, the erase, as I said, takes about 5 seconds. So it takes a while, and I've got no progress while that's happening because I get no response back from the command. So I've done that just as a blocking call. But on a brand new board that comes off the line, it should only be like 1 or 2 seconds. It's really quick. In fact, I'm holding the result on the screen longer than it actually takes to erase the chip. Anyway, I do that, then I do a flash. It goes through and flashes it, and I'm flashing my own custom firmware. But right now it's just a straight up empty MicroPython. Which technically when it boots, I can, like, it's just a REPL there and I can just type code. And then when it's finished that, it goes through, this is just for the testing RAM, which does nothing right now, and then I print the end, which is an in-joke in my household. What you getting? Bluetooth is a deal for Charles. Yeah, ESP32 is really cool. So, my plan was to make a custom firmware that had custom code on there that the Pi can control to do all the rest of the tests. But I actually don't need to do that at all. It's amazing. So I'm using, to talk to the Pi, I'm using R shell. So like right now I'm at the command line, right? I'm at the command line of my Pi. If I go R shell, it's just like doing a screen, right? R shell, and I go -p / that's for port. I think I can use -p dev / tty USB 0. I'm now connected to my TinyPICO on my Pi via my Mac. Woo! Right? And so if I just type REPL, I'm now in the REPL of my TinyPICO. Makes sense? So I can go print hello viewers, and it prints hello viewers, and that's my TinyPICO doing that, not my Pi. Does that make sense? So what's really cool about R shell is, I gotta remember how to get out of this. X and then C. Right, I'm back at my terminal. So what I can do with R shell is I can say R shell let me just bring that back up again. I've got to remember how to do it. I've not done this before. I haven't done it yet. Okay. Actually, let me bring up the. I'm going to bring up the. God, where is my thing? I'm going to bring up the docs. R shell docs. Just on GitHub. So R shell is actually a remote shell for MicroPython, being designed specifically for MicroPython. Alright, this is it here. So what you can do with R shell, this is amazing, is not only can you go into R shell and then use copy and stuff, I can copy stuff to my Pico and back and TinyPICO, whatever I want to do, but I can actually invoke the REPL at the command line, pass it some commands, and then tell it to exit. So what I can do is this. See this REPL command? So I can say, let me just copy this. I'm assuming this is going to work. So I go REPL, I think it's called Pi. Oh, I keep forgetting I can't highlight the line, I'm at the terminal. So the board is called /Pi board. And so what I can do is, I can just make it boot into the REPL, but I can actually pass it lines. So I can actually say, tell it to print hi there, right? And then if I put another tilde at the end, so every line that I want it to run is a tilde in between. And the tilde at the end means exit. So I can just do that, go enter. Oh, it doesn't like my brackets. Okay. Right. Maybe I can't do that from R shell. I thought I could. Just hold on one second. I don't know if I can use print without brackets. I don't think so. Oh, I can. Oh, I can't find Pi board. I have to escape the brackets? Okay. I haven't done this before, right? But the point is, so I can't find Pi board. What is it called? Hang on one second. Let's go R shell. There's a command to get a list of the boards. /Pi board. Should be. Where's... Is there a help? Boards. LS boards. Oh, maybe I can't do that. I don't know. There's a... Oh, I know I can do a connect. Anyway, I gotta work out what the board name is. But what I can do, I believe, is pass it inline code by the REPL, or what I can do is tell it to you. I could use the file name. Hang on. See this file name? I can actually call R shell and send it a boot.py, or sorry, a main.py, and I can tell it to restart itself. So what I can do is, rather than make a custom firmware that I have to keep modifying and building all the time, what I can do is actually pass it. I can either write a whole lot of mini test scripts, like I can make a mini main.py that tests the RAM and a mini main.py that tests the IO and stuff, right? And I can just R shell, send it the file, make it reboot itself, and it's automatically running that code, right? Actually, I don't have to reboot it. I can send it the file and tell it to run that file straight away, and then I can do a reboot of it for the next step and tell it to do the next thing. So I can do that, or I can just pass it code on the fly. Does that make sense? Yeah, I hope so. I was thinking of trying to get this working on my stream today. I haven't even got any of the hardware stuff done. I'm still going through everything. Wow. An hour and 20 minutes and I'm still explaining everything that I'm doing here. It's this ESP tool thing. Yep, sorry. No, this is not ESP tool I'm doing now. This is R shell. Try escaping with the backslash. Let me try doing that with a backslash because I'm curious to know if that'll work. Oh, I need to get out. Okay, yeah. So backslash works, which is great, but it's not finding pi board. Maybe it needs an extra slash at the end. No. There's a way of getting the list of the boards. I just don't know. Commands, boards. Oh, maybe I just type boards. Hang on. Let me type boards. Boards. Pi board. Right. And it shows you there's a boot.py on there and a pi board boot.py. Right, so maybe I don't need the slash. Maybe that's the problem. Let me get rid of the slashes. Slasher. There we go. Oh, what didn't I like? So it booted it and it ran the REPL and it tried to run some code, but it doesn't like. Line 1, syntax error, invalid syntax. Okay. Control X. Anyway. What's Ash MicroPython was my nickname in school, sadly. What? Why? No, I'm not even going to ask that question. I'm not going to ask. Double quotes also need to be escaped. Oh, really? Okay, try that one more time. No. Either way, I'll work it out. The point is I can inject Python code on the fly. So I should be able to, I mean, I don't even have to write any scripts. I should be able to inline through my tests. Like here, I should be able to just issue commands using subprocess. So I call subprocess, which calls a terminal process, and it calls R shell, and it sends a bunch of stuff. Bash expanding tilde to the home. Yeah, I know what tilde is, but I don't think it is on the Pi. I think it's, oh, it is, you're right. Wow, okay. Interesting. Right. So it just means that I can't, right. So it's designed to do this. Let me show you. It's designed to do it from the command line. It's designed to go here and go REPL tilde print hello tilde, right? It's designed to do it from there, right? I'm currently R-shelled on the Pi, and if I run it like that, see, it does print hello, and then it exits. I was assuming I could do it from the Raspberry Pi terminal, but clearly I can't. But I can just write my own script and inject the script instead. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Whoever was the first person that said is expanding it out, appreciate it. And there seems to be people in here I haven't said hi to. Hello, Gaston. Sejok. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I apologise. Hello, Mike. Did I even say hi to Dirk? I don't know. And Michael, hello. What did you miss so far? Nothing. I only just started. Yeah, you'll have to watch the recap, dude. I've gone through a lot of stuff. Anyway, I'm really enjoying this whole thing. Like, it's pretty straightforward. Like, it's way less... Like, I was really intimidated by all of this, the process of doing all this. But it's actually pretty good. I'm quite impressed. So, yeah. So my plan today was... escape the utility with the \2. Thanks, Peter. Can I escape? Can I really? Hang on, let me try that. Escape everything. Let's escape everything. Ah, you're right. Thank you. Now I can inject it line by line. Yeah, thank you all. Thank you, everyone. See? I told you I was new to this. Oh, that's why I love my community. You're all awesome. Escape all the things. So, 1 second, everyone. I gotta put my aircon on. It is hot. It has been super, super hot here. We had like a 39-degree day the other day. We've had lots of 35s, 36s. It's quite warm in here, so the air conditioning's on. Wayne Kerr. Yeah, haha. No way. Hello, Andy Mouse. Did I say hi to you? It's freezing in the west. No, it is warm here. And muggy today. Very muggy. So, haven't finished my coffee. Typical. So what my plan was here today, I wanted to... Yeah, I need to stick header pins on this. Which I really didn't want to do. Anyway. Because I didn't want to waste pogos. So that way I could plug it into something. And I was probably going to use 2 boards. So this will plug into one with long cables going to here. And then I wanted to get the OLED onto here so it keeps... Yeah, I'm gonna just start doing some of this stuff. Hey, Looney! Happy New Year! -11 in Boulder. No way! I like the cold. Not that cold, though. So I'm just going to unplug the power right now. Everyone notice I stuck some heat sinks on here? Boy, does this board get hot! Holy mother of something. Okay. It gets really hot. So I want to... Green is the first one. SDA. I just want to clean up some of this stuff. I'm going to zoom out a bit. -3. Wow. You guys live in cold areas. I just want to have a way of yeah, this is just, it's just ugly. I need all my wires. Got all my wires. Boxes of wires. Boxes of wires. It's shocking. 30 degrees. Wow. In New Zealand at the moment, that is too hot. I don't like the heat personally. Okay, green, blue. God, that is hot. Oh. Why can't the black and the red be next to each other? Seriously. Just want the black and the red to be next to... Actually, I don't even... Is that 5 volts? Right, I don't even need those because I can just use jumpers. Okay. I'm going to go the other way around. I'm going to put that back to front because I don't care, I can read it. I'm going to use jumpers for the power lines. I've already got power there anyway, so taking more power over from the Pi doesn't make any sense. Although that's 5 volts? No, they're 3 volts, that's fine. So ground. Okay, except I'm not doing this in front of me, which is annoying. Bit hard to see. Oh, thanks, Christian. Very generous of you, thank you. Buy a whole bunch of red and black cables in China. Yeah, but they're what do you call it ones? They're wire wrapping ones. Look at why there's a crap load of heat. I use Pis for emulation and they get warm. Yeah, this gets hot. The Zero didn't. The 0W didn't get anywhere near as hot. What is Graham? Hello, Graham. Happy New Year, mate. It's a corollary of Murphy's law. Okay, sorry, I'm distracted as usual. Okay, out of the way. God, these breadboards are shit. Where's it the pin? Ah, wow, I just bent this pin. Okay, that is a really bad one. Yeah, I've broken that cable. That's annoying. I need another one. Small cable, anyone? I'm just going to talk to myself. Don't mind me. Just need one. Male to male. So much rubbish in here. So much. Here we go. Use a blue one. It's fine. Still can't get it in. Thank you. Okay, so now I need to blue and green. Doesn't really matter what colors. Use these two. Yellow and orange instead. Whoops. Yellow and orange. I think it's these ones. Well, we'll see in a moment whether it powers up or not. See if that's the right order. It'd be really nice if there was an on-off switch on the Pi. Is there an on-off switch that I don't know about? What? Hello, Gary. Male to female cables. The DuPont cables. Okay, talk to yourself as long as you don't get multiple conflicting answers. Yeah. Yeah, I often talk to myself. Did you not know? Except I'm now out of my shell. Let me just go back. Yeah, third party inline switch. Yeah, I don't want a third party. I might have to. I don't know. But yeah, that's really annoying. Okay. Raspberry. Everyone, my password for my Pi is raspberry. Okay, so cd pico python doit.py. I might have to rename that. Do we get a screen? Oh, no. And we've got an error. Right, because I can't find it. That's probably why. So I got those back to front. Probably. Try that again. Nope. Ground. Interesting. My screen's not working now. Why is my screen not working? If I plug these into the wrong ports, let's have a look. Maybe I've got SDA and SCL the wrong way around. Oh, or wrong pins completely. Hello, SDA, SCL. And that is definitely 3 volts going in, isn't it? Yep. So SDA is 1, 2, 3. SDA is yellow. SCL. That was right. Unless these cables are crap. Wouldn't that be typical Xeon if the cables are crap? So my code is not running. It's not finding the begin. It won't do a begin on the board because it can't find it. Oh, it did now. Unplugged it, plugged it back in, and it worked. That's weird. No, these cables are shit. Oh, hang on. You don't trust the what? The pre-made jumpers. You're talking about these? These are crap. That's why I'm going to make a board. There is no way I'm going to provide a test rig that's got any DuPont cables on it at all. It's going to be a completely custom PCB. It has to be. I'm going to eliminate as many points of failure as possible. As many as possible. Now, I'm pretty sure that that is... my button input all the way down there. I need a better wire for that. I need a shorter wire for that. So I'll use this one. My button input. So I just want to, for the moment, I just want to clean this up so I can do the rest of my I/O. Oop, thinks it's erasing. Oh right, because I actually ran the code. And now it's flashing. Whoops. I should probably disconnect my Pico just for now. You see it's flashing? There's got to be only a certain number of times I can flash one of these chips, right? Anyone know how many it is? Is it like 1,000 or something? I probably flashed it about 50 times in the last few days. Yeah, I have a lot of curse of dodgy cables, don't I? The end. Okay. So that's all pretty ugly, but what I need to do now is I'm just going to unplug my Pico. So ideally I want to just have it so I can plug it in and unplug it, which I really, yeah. I need to simulate the plugging in and plugging out. I do see advantages of breadboards. They have advantages when I'm trying to, like, if I was just routing all this myself and not testing while I was going, like on a breadboard, I reckon I'd get it very wrong. I'd end up with, I don't know, 10 revisions? 8 revisions? I'm the revision king. Do you handle interruptions if you remove the USB to the Pico while it's flashing? What would happen? I don't know what would happen to the Pico. It would survive, but as soon as that happens, it would detect that there's no Pico there and it would throw an error. Because it's a background task, it probably won't kill the sub-process, although the sub-process will fail, but it would loop it back to the error state and it'll show an error saying no, that there's no Pico found. So the idea is, and again, until I can actually plug it in, plug it out, plug it in, plug it out live, I can't check all the states. Right now I'm checking the states by just swapping cables. Hi Ollie. Good morning. Firmware space should be good for a few thousand flashes without degrading. Okay, well, I might get to a few thousand on this Pico by the time I'm finished. Okay, I need to get some header pins. I'm gonna have to solder. Oh, I didn't want to solder, but I'm going to. I know Brian was here before. I don't know if he's still here. He might have just popped in to say hi and bye. But I finally took one of these from the kitchen, stole one. Sorry, I was just reading Rob. Yeah, so I'm not gonna. Yeah, I totally get that. It's a good idea, Rob. Except, like in my case, it's a lot of effort to do that with another cable. When all I want to do is test that my board is going to be okay. Now, whether my board plugs directly in like a hat, or whether there's a cable in between and I separate the two out, I don't know yet. Because like right now, as I said, the my current setup is designed so I put headers on here upside down on purpose. My design right now is supposed to go where the board faces away. So pin 1 is here on the board. But of course pin 1 is here. And so it doesn't face away anymore. So from a mechanical design, it's not going to do what I want. Like I already designed a base for it to sit on and stuff, and that's not going to work now because the Pi was away and now it's next to it. I have to decide if I'm going to flip that around still to turn this the other way around, or whether I flip my board pins so it fits okay, or like leave it as it is right now if it's gonna be on top. My concern with putting a board on top is just the heat. I know that there are plenty of hats that are designed to go on top. Alternately, I can't remember who it was. Someone pointed me. I think it was John Spencer pointed me to a cable you can get from Adafruit, or I can get from Core Electronics. That's just an extension cable, so I can plug header to header, so I can separate them out. Poor you. What? So Ollie's telling me off that I stole this from the kitchen. When I say I stole it, I didn't really steal it. I borrowed it indefinitely from the kitchen. And Mum knows I did it, Ollie. Thank you. Wow. No, Yuz knows. She knows. Okay, I need header pins. I'm not sure I have enough header pins. I'm not sure I have enough. Yeah, sorry. Is that a bad joke? That was a bad joke. The one big hobnob. What are we talking about? Okay, so... Cutters... Make sure again that I didn't cut in the wrong spot. No, that's good. And another one the same length. My plan was to always have an odd pin number on the TinyPICO, so you could never plug it in the wrong way around. But I ended up using that extra one for extra ground next to the reset. So yeah, can't do that now. Okay, so I'm going to need to solder these on. Can't remember how wide it is. I can't remember. Nope. Look at that. Look how narrow this board is. It's awesome. Getting called out here. What? What have I done? No, not. So using it when you just bought another one from the store. What? You just bought another one from... No idea what you're talking about, Ollie. Seriously, no idea. Okay, so... Do I need to zoom in on the soldering? No one needs to see me soldering, do they? Again, terrible soldering. Getting called out for something I didn't do, which is, you know, I normally get called out for things I do. I'm quite happy to take responsibility and get in trouble for stuff that I do, but No idea what Ollie's talking about. Anyway, here we go. Okay, I'll zoom in a bit. Wow, can't touch it. Should be closer. Wow, these fumes. Gotta hold my breath. Whoa. I actually can't see. Good. It's okay, Ollie, we have enough in the kitchen. It's totally fine. This is riveting. Okay. Should be good. I hope we're good. It looks good. So I should move it over to the edge. Doesn't really matter which end. Okay, so I now need to go through all my pins. Yeah, no. Wow, that was a good one, Andy. That was a good one. I'm impressed. Absolutely impressed. So, I need to go through. Do you want to be looking at me wiring, or do you want to be looking at the board layout while I do it? What would you prefer? Because I need to basically hook up a whole bunch of I/O. Okay, well, I'll do it from here. I borrowed boxes from the kitchen. Boxes? Don't have boxes. What boxes have you got in the kitchen? I want longer cables for this. I need long. I've got long somewhere. Wow, they're too long. Wow. Hang on. When I say I've got long cables, I mean I've really got long. Bit too long. But actually then male to male. I need male to female. Wow, male to male, male to female. Do I have female to female? Wow, I don't have long male to female. That sucks. No way. I thought I had really long male to female. I must have used them all up already. Yep, I've used them all up. Because I really wanted something a bit longer than this so it can reach. So I didn't have to, so I could pull the cables apart and be able to get to the inside. But it seems I don't have any. That is super frustrating. No. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to use these. Does Ben ever return anything he borrows? Yeah, this is really not gonna be long enough. I'm not even sure how I'm gonna do this. Okay, so the first one. Should we work backwards? I might work backwards. So this bottom ground is the ground test, and that needs to be going to a Right, I need some resistors. And reset should be going high. I need two 10k resistors. I'm not sure this is the ideal thing to be doing on a stream. Like in terms of, you know, yeah. I don't know. Just gonna trim these down. I hate putting resistors in breadboards when they're super long. Okay, we need, it's gonna have to go high. And another one. I don't know how far I'll get with this on the stream today, folks. Just because, yeah, don't know. I'm gonna need some, I'm gonna do those with these ones. So I need to pull this ground. Right. So this idea of the ground short thing was Ben's, actually. So thank you, Ben. Actually, I might do a shorter one. Well, it's a bit shorter, yep. So I'm going to go, the ground is going to go to here. And the reset, which I need to keep high as well. Oh, that won't reach. Need a longer one. I don't have longer. Got it really long. I put them the wrong way around. I'm having a bad wiring day. Bad wiring day. Can everyone even see what I'm doing? Not really. Okay. Pull up for reset now. Need to pull up for ground. That doggy wants his breakfast. That doggy is really annoying, let me tell you. I love dogs. I love animals in general, but that dog, he can just go shove it. Always barks at the wrong time. Okay. Okay, so that's ground pulled up. Almost quicker. So both the two 10Ks on a ground, pull up, and shit. Okay. So, oops. Yeah. Okay. So even like this should be enough to test. Let me test the ground sense. So the ground sense pin is ground test is 19. Which is this grey one. So this grey one, if that goes to here, and Orly, Chucky, time to get off chat, I think. Yeah. I need ground and power. Common ground, common power. Common ground, common power. Where's that black one I took before? Not that one. Not that one. So now I've pulled all my cables out. I've messed up all my cables. That'll do. Okay, that is ground. Yeah, see already, by putting a cable over the top there now, it makes it hard for me to get this in and out. I really didn't want to do that. I might have to go down to here. And stick a small jumper in. For ground. Okay, so that's a normal ground. Okay, and I need to have VCC, and where's the red one? Just give me a red cable, that'll do. Okay, red. Just need to share VCC and ground. Just going to move these over. If I can get them back in. Because this breadboard is terrible. Does that smell like it's burning? Can anyone smell burning? I hope not. The pie's hot. Hello, just a black cable would be great right now. I really like to color code my cables, but I just got cables everywhere. That'll do. Is everyone still here? Just to make sure I haven't shorted anything. No, still works. Still power coming through here. So, this now should be detecting, if I pull the board out, see that? Load board. Hang on. Okay, this works. Yay. Yay. So, see it says load board. As soon as I plug the board in, assuming I plug it in the right spot, I won't push it all the way. It says press button. It detected a board's there. If I pull it back out again, okay, I should make it turn the blue light off actually. See, load board, press button. Okay, let me just make the light go out. 1 second. Copy. There's press button. Okay. Save. Yeah, go away. Okay, restart the program. Oh, error saving to the Raspberry Pi. Oh, right, because I disconnected it. Maybe. Let me just close this. Yeah, I need to re-armate to it. 1 second. Thanks, Orly. Have a nice day. Control C. No. Log out. Okay, I'm going to re-R shell to it. What am I missing? Please steal away. What? I'm missing something. I feel like I'm in a whole nother place than you guys are now. Oh. Mate, do it dot py. Okay. Saving. Okay. Make sure I've got the code right. Press button. No, I didn't. Ugh. That's annoying. Save. Okay. Python doit.py. Okay, so it says, I am in a completely different place, but I feel like you're all having fun on chat. I'm not even seeing the chat, my own fault, and I'm over here trying to get this working. So you can see blue light, load board. As soon as I stick the board on, blue light goes off, press button. As soon as I pull it out, it knows that there's no board there. So that's doing it through shorting the ground pin. It's doing it by pulling the ground pin up to 3 volts, and as soon as I plug the board in, the ground is shorting that pin. Oh, wrong spot. It's shorting to ground, so it detects. That's how I'm mechanically detecting if a board's plugged into the pogo pins. Yeah, you're on the journey, right? So now the next step is to check the power pins. So I need to move those around. So I'm just going to pull this out for the moment. Okay. Now I know there's not for you a lot to input. I apologize, and this is a very kind of boring process. I felt worried about doing this live just because it's a bit monotonous. So IO6, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for pin 5 on the bottom is the 5 volt pin. Oh, I know what one it is. That's this one here. So I need a longer one. For 5 volts. Hello. Male to female, long one please. Really? It's not long enough. Need a longer one. God. I always pull out cables I don't want when I don't need them. And then when I need them, I can't find them. A male to female long-ish cable, please. Just one would be good. You've got to be kidding me. I just want one. Yeah, I'm frustrated right now, folks. Frustrated. I'm gonna have to use a short one. Oh, what pin was that? 1, 2. Okay, that one's got to go. Have to use a short one. DC's modified modular connectors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's got to go to the 5 volt line. The 5 volt line, if that's ground, the 5 volt line is, can't remember, next to ground. Yeah, see that doesn't reach. No, we need a long one. Come on. Give me a long cable. Okay, I'm just going to use a double adapter. I really don't want to do this. I'm using one into another one because I really don't know what else to do. But it's very frustrating. Okay, and the 3 volt pin is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, it's that black one there. Right. You gotta come out, Mr. Black One. Right, sensing the 5-volt pin is going to be a problem right now because I can't get a signal shifting level shifter on there right now. You can put the header pins on the breadboard. Works a treat. Yeah, I know I can. It's just mechanically more things to hit and knock and break. It's the spirit of the season. It's behind you. I'll do the 3-volt sensing right now, and I'm not going to do the 5-volt just because I don't have a... I'll have to see if I've got a level shifter somewhere. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So if I unplug this, okay, so here we go. So it says load board. I put my board in, and it says error, no 5 volts found, right? And I know I don't have 5 volts found right now, but I'm going to have to skip that test. I'm going to have to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to have to skip it and just plug this into here, right? So you push the button, and now it says can't find 3 volts. So I'm bypassing the 5 volt right now. That's a B+. It's the latest B+. Hey, David. Hello, Happy New Year. Right, so now, even if I do a reset, it's going to keep, no matter what, it's going to keep throwing an error that I can't find the 3 volts. But as soon as I plug the 3 volts in, oops. Okay, why can't it find 3 volts? Did I unplug that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They should be looking for 3 volts. Interesting. Oh, right. Silly. So it won't find 3 volts because there's no USB cable plugged in. Obviously. There's no power to the board. So if I plug power to the board, whoa, okay, and now do reset. Okay, so it's finding 3 volts. Cool. So if I unplug the board, it's going to be a bit hard to, that's going to be the problem. I'm not going to be able to plug the board in and out easily. So it says load board because it can't find a board. Then if I plug it in, it does all its checks and it goes, yep, it found 5 volts, it found 3 volts, it found the ground, it detected the board, and so, oh, did I knock the 3 volt pin? What happened there? Oh, I must have shot it with my finger. And it's ready to be, no, it's failed 3 volts again. Interesting. I'll play with the cable, maybe. It doesn't like the short. Anyway. So that's working. What I do need to do though is I need to pull those low. Take that off. Don't need that. Take that off. I don't need that. And this black one I don't need. So the 3 volt pin is going to have to be pulled low to ground. Since I have a pull down. That's what I'm doing now. I had a pull down over here. I haven't moved it over. I'm doing that now. All of the sense pins have pull downs on them on the PCB that I made, but getting them on the breadboard and moving them over on the breadboard is a pain. So that needs to go. Wow. Sometimes I just hate working on breadboards. 3 volts. Oh, come on. Get in. Right. So that's pulled low. Right. And now it's high. Cool. What do you mean again? Who's again? What happened to again? Okay. It keeps jumping back to that though, and I wonder if that's just a wiring thing. Whoa. Have I got a short somewhere? That's weird. It's just not plugged in properly. I don't like this double adapter on the cables. Hey Amos! Should be using a better breadboard. Yeah, this breadboard's terrible. They're terrible. Okay, yeah. I might need to get a bigger breadboard or something. This whole wiring, the way I'm doing it like this right now, is just, I don't like it at all. Well, see, there it goes again. As soon as I touched the cable, it went funky. I need a long cable, but not a double adapted cable. So I need a, neither of those two. I just don't know where my long cables are. Like, how many DuPont cables do I really need to buy, folks? I want a long male to female. Surely that's not too much to ask. Out of all the million cables I've got. One long male to female. Male to male. Yeah, this is just ridiculous. Okay. I'm about to give up. I'm giving up. After the point issues I've had, I would just favour avoiding solid. Yeah, but I don't. Yeah, I could do it all on a proto board. I just didn't particularly want to. I mean, if I did it on a proto board, I could also put pogo pins on. Yeah, I never have the one I need. Or if I do, I just can't find it because it's buried under a million other ones. For want of not sounding racist, they all look the same. I'm racist towards DuPont cables at the moment. Yeah, I just can't find a... Yeah. Not going to happen, folks. Wow. Super sad. No. Okay, anyway. What's a great t-shirt? DuPont racism. Yeah. Anyway. Everyone can see what I'm doing here. I'm not going to continue this on stream because this is like going down this road of wire everywhere on 2 breadboards is going to ask for trouble. And I'm going to plug something in and knock it. Or I'm going to pull the board out and I'm going to knock all the cables. Bad idea. I'm just going to unplug it. Bad idea, but as everyone can see, it's kind of working. Oops, I just reset the Pi by hitting the reset button. It's kind of working. I have a plan now for how I'm doing the testing, which is good. Hey everybody, talk amongst yourselves for a moment. I'm going to go on a toilet break. I'm just going to mute. Back in a sec. Hey, sorry about that. When you gotta go, you gotta go. Hey, Matthew, welcome. Brian's gone. Where's Brian gone? Oh, yeah. So, all in all, I've really enjoyed working on this so far, and I think, like, I've managed to solve every problem I've come along across. Why is that autofocusing? Autofocus is turned off. Wow. That was a fast toilet break. Must have opened a window or something. No, I'm pretty close to the bathroom. That's okay. Just, anyway. Sure. Yeah, I'm not saying I'm impressed with myself, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not patting myself on the shoulder. I'm just saying I'm just impressed in general with the Python ecosystem and the support and help and documentation online and all the tools available. Like, every single thing I've thought of that I wanted to do, that I didn't know how to do, I managed to Google it within like 5 minutes and find someone who's written some software to solve it. It's been awesome. Thanks, Peter. Peter SS is my biggest, he is my lead cheer squad person, the pom-poms. And I do appreciate it, Peter. I love your encouragement. Thank you very much. So yeah, like I've just been impressed with the whole ecosystem. The stacks of docs on the Pi, although there was very little about that USB thing, or nothing to solve it anyway. But there's stacks of just info on Python and MicroPython and even CircuitPython, and there's just, yeah, repositories full of just tools that people have made that really make this process easy. So I'm really, really impressed with it. Work from home and spend a lot of time on a WebEx headset. Okay. I didn't know you work from home, Rob. Interesting. Didn't know that. Thanks, Helmut. Yeah, I'm really, like, I'm enjoying Python. I have to say, well, now that I've got a really nice IDE to work in, it really helps. But I'm enjoying working with Python and working from, oh, okay. It was running the code. Didn't like that. Yeah, whoops. I unplugged the Pi from my terminal session. That's okay. Yeah, yeah, Python's actually not overly hard, and anything I can think of, it's there. Yeah, it's very flexible. I'm really impressed. And the errors you get from the runtime is just great. You know, even if you like don't do the right spacing, the tabs or spaces or something, indentation, it'll come up with an error saying, hey, like incorrect indentation found at blah blah blah. It's, yeah, I'm really impressed, and its string manipulation stuff is just insanely good. So, familiar with the Mac companies Otherworld Computing or Neurotech? I've heard of Otherworld. Neurotech I've not heard of. No. Why do you ask, Peter? So is that choice, Rob? Like, you like working from home? I love working from home. Some people can and some people can't. You'll get there, Neffers. You'll get there. We all have our journey. It takes as long as it takes. Like, there's still a million things I want to learn, and a million things I still don't know that I really want to, you know, that like still feel like I'm drowning in most of the stuff. You know, I know bits and pieces. You'll get there. Used to be head engineer at OWC. Yeah. Of course, Otherworld Computing, OWC. Oh! Yeah, I never hear them referred to as anything other than OWC. Yeah, I got a bunch of their stuff. Yeah, OWC are good. I didn't know you were the head engineer. Engineering nerd. Hey, don't talk yourself down. Yeah, learning never ends. Love working from home, got more to be done. One day comes. By the way, Helmut, I read your email this morning. So I've been up since 3. Don't ask. So I read your reply, and wow, what a background in engineering. See, I'm jealous. Like, the caliber of people in my chat makes me, Neffers, if you think that you have a long way to go, it makes me feel like I haven't even started yet. It's just crazy. Um, yeah, I've always been able to work from home. I'm not the type of guy that keeps walking to the fridge or needs to turn on the TV just for 5 minutes to take a break and then 3 hours later watching TV. Um, I like being in my own space, doing my own stuff. Although whenever I do go work in an office with some other people, I feel like it reminds me of the like missing the whole having people around me. Like it's nice sometimes, even just to listen to conversations in the background, even if you're not participating. Um, it reminds me how isolated working from home can be, but I still prefer working from home. David puts the hack in hacker. So you're an elite, 2600 elite, David, or you meant hack as in the noob in hacker? Yeah, I spent a lot of time over the last few weeks looking at other people's videos and other people's content, like docs and stuff to do with a lot of stuff I'm doing, and there's just really amazing, smart people out there. It just blows my mind. I constantly humbled and put back in my place. Like as good as I feel like I'm getting on anything, I then see something that someone else is doing and think to myself, wow, like really? I'm not even 1% of the way there yet. Yeah, it's very humbling. Peter's a jackass of all trades. I think I'm getting capable in the areas that I'm spending my time in, but I'm also like bypassing a lot of areas or skipping a lot of stuff, or there's a lot more that I still want to do. And this year for the channel is going to be quite interesting. I I need to make a decision about what I'm doing for an income this year. I really can't last another year without an income, as much as I'd love to, because I'm really enjoying the not having to work thing. But the not having to work thing isn't because I can afford not to work, it's because I'm being reckless, just to be clear. So I need to make some decisions about that, but also just about the channel in general. Like I've been doing a lot of electronics, a lot of hardcore electronics, and I love electronics. But there's other stuff I still want to do. Like, that the rack I made, my last video, there was no electronics involved in that. I've got some other just purely laser cutting woodworking stuff that I want to do that has no electronics at all. I could add electronics, like I could stick LEDs on them, but there's just no need. Like it's not an electronics based thing. So there's other stuff I want to do this year. I don't want to turn into a woodworking channel, don't get me wrong. And there's enough 3D printing channels out there right now, but I still like making stuff, and it doesn't always have to be electronics based. But I've also got some other interesting electronics I want to work on, as well as some other projects that I just need to get past the TinyPICO thing. Evan Kale it. Yeah, I'm not that spaced yet, Brian. Not yet. Bunny, for example. Yes. It was the first prototype. Hack the Xbox. Yeah, Bunny's great. I was reading his blog post about programming jigs and stuff last night. Actually, I'm halfway through. It's less blog post and more novel, but it's pretty good. He's a very smart guy. I wouldn't mind playing with some resin casting maybe, but really only as a means to an end. Like I'd love to, for instance, the backs of my Wi-Fi clocks. I'd like to maybe make a resin cast for and maybe make some of those backs that way rather than 3D printing them. Thanks, Neffers. But he's good on hype. He's a smart guy too. He's experienced a lot. Like he really opened up Shenzhen to a lot of people and really helped a lot of people be able to manufacture in Shenzhen and stuff. Like he really went through the wars learning, but he's also quite a good marketing guy. Marketer of himself, no doubt. But you have to be these days, right? Yeah. I mean, I need to be a better marketer of myself because, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. Like, my channel growth has been great, but it's been nowhere near what other people have experienced. Did anyone see Andreas' video that he released overnight? It's basically a look back at 2018 and he was basically pitching to his viewers how they could help small YouTube channels. It was about the algorithms and stuff, whatever. I'm not sure I necessarily believe or agree with a lot of stuff that he said, but he was talking about his own channel, and like he got to 50-something thousand views in, sorry, 56,000 subs in 2 years or something. I think. I mean, I got to 2,200 or something in a year. I think Brian got to 5,000 in 2 years. So yeah, like I'm not complaining about my channel growth, but it's nowhere near what other people have experienced. And it's just all about either finding the right projects or, just doing a better job at marketing myself. So, and maybe I need to do a bit of both, but I also don't want to make projects that are good for the channel but aren't necessarily good for me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to turn into the making content for the sake of building my channel. Because if I don't enjoy it, or if I'm not into it, or I don't want to, if I don't think there's any, because I've got such a small window still, or less than I had, I feel like anything I do going forward needs to be, I need to be able to get more out of it than just maybe building some subs. Although I managed to pick up about 30 subs overnight, which is crazy. I don't know where that came from. Right click, open in a new tab. When am I right clicking, opening in a new tab? What Electron Ash posted? Yeah, I know he did a lot of stuff, and he was one of the first people to start playing around with the ESPs, like ESP32s, and doing sleep mode stuff and everything else. So yeah, he was videoizing a lot of just small blog posty type stuff, but still, he got there first, and he's the go-to place now for all that type of stuff. Okay, I'm gonna right click and open in new tab, open a new window. I meant. What was it a link for? Oh, right, yeah. There's a lot of stuff about Shenzhen. And a lot of the, what happened if can I do that? This is just, yeah, Bunny's video. That's Bunny, everyone, if you don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of info about Shenzhen, and Shenzhen's opened up quite a lot now. Like, both Shenzhen's opened up, and a lot of people have helped open up Shenzhen to understand better. It's still nothing quite like experiencing it, though. Yeah, anyway, I'll close that up. Maybe some copyright for that. Not sure. Yeah, I just closed it. It's gone. Yep. If I get a copyright strike, I was just, yeah. Just wanted to see what it was and wanted, yeah, I was, sorry, I wasn't, yeah. Good point. Good point. Oh well. If I do, I do. Only if someone dobs me in. It's a pretty long stream. Someone has to get to the 2.5 hour mark, right, for that to happen. Yeah, I totally forgot about it. I didn't even think about the copyright strike stuff. I generally do when I'm making my own content. So yeah, there's lots of things I want to do this year on the channel. One of the things I'm actually thinking of doing is to make less content for the channel. Sorry. Like I've been doing... Brian's squealing on me. Awesome. Thanks, buddy. Can always count on you. I've been doing, a live stream and 2 or more videos. Yeah, I don't even know if they'll be able to pick it up without the audio. So, anyway. Yeah, I've been doing a live stream and 2 or more videos a week for most of the year. And I can't really sustain that anymore, I don't think. I feel like the getting the videos out is not giving me time to really flesh out my projects enough, maybe, or or give them enough time. Like the one I did the other day with the rack holder, like I didn't even finish it. Like I finished it now. Well, I've done more on it. Like I've got. Hang on. See if I can bring it over without dropping it. Like one of the things that I hadn't done that I meant to do, but I thought, well, that's going to be boring to do on video, maybe, was I made, okay, I don't know if that's going to work. I don't know if I've got enough room for this. You're not going to be able to see it. I'll take some out. So the reason the feet were so long is to get labels on them. Can that focus? Not really. A little bit better. So the feet in the front here were so long, so I could get labels for all the different components. So I didn't have to pull them out to find them. Does that make sense? But I didn't even put that in the video. Like, I felt like there was a part of the design I didn't explain. Because I just didn't have the time, because I had to get the video done. So I feel like I'm my worst enemy when it comes to my schedule. So I think I'm gonna change the schedule up a bit. What else was I saying? I was gonna say. Yeah, also speaking to Brian, I actually thought about potentially switching my stream day to a Monday or a Tuesday. I don't know, reels of components, by the time you buy them in real quantity, the per item quantities goes down so much that it's not, or for passives anyway, it's not that much more expensive. I mean, it's more money for sure, but you're getting such a lower quantity value, per item value, that it. Yeah, sorry. So I was thinking of changing my stream day to do like one stream and one video a week. And I'm still thinking about it. I don't know, because Monday's not a good day for me to stream, or my Monday morning. Maybe a Tuesday morning and a video release on the weekend, like a Saturday or a Sunday. I don't know. There's a lot of other people that release videos on Saturday and Sunday, so I'm not sure if that's good either. I don't know. I have lots of decisions to make. But yeah, I feel like I want to give myself some more time to get some of my projects done, or some of my projects, like I want to do bigger things maybe, I'm not sure. Yeah, the sample books are great, except when you run out of the go-to components, Like, they give you multiple rows of some of the more common ones, but there's still not enough. Yeah. Okay, Daniel votes for me not to change my Wednesday. I'm happy to do Wednesday. Wednesday suits me really well. I actually really, it's a good day for me, but then I don't know what day to bring out my videos. I don't want to, I need time. I want to even it out. Like, if I'm going to do 2 things a week, I want them spread apart. SMD caps are still expensive, aren't they? Yeah, MMLCs are still... Sorry, ML, multi-layer ceramic cap, MLCCs, God, whoops, are still expensive, and it's still getting worse. No, I'm not designing an FPGA board, but I'd love to play with FPGA. I've got one, I've got another one on the way. Yeah, reels of resistors is cheap. And even caps, it still works out much cheaper to buy them in reels than it does to buy them individually. You get price gouged way more on smaller quantities of caps than you do on longer ones, although it's still across the board much more expensive. Yeah, ceramic caps. Yeah, MLCCs, multi-layer ceramic caps. SMD versions are expensive. That's where the shortage is right now. Yeah, look, I'd like to buy locally. It's just too expensive. The difference in price is massive. So I've got an order sitting there right now that I haven't committed to for enough to build 100 TinyPICOs. But I'm still getting quotes from China to get them manufactured. So right now it's still, apart from my time, it's still cheaper for me to build 100 TinyPICOs myself. Are you going, Neffers? Catch you later, mate. Oh, the Def Bombs repair channel is here. You are dropping frame. Refresh your browser. It's I'm on ultra low latency, so that it just buffers sometimes. But if you refresh, it should be okay. It's already been sold out a few times. Yeah, it's really hard to get caps on a lot of places. And I'm still buying, even though I've got these reels, I'm not touching them. My intent with the reels was there for a pick and place if I ever go there. And if I don't, I'll tap into them if I need to. But while I can still buy caps, in hundreds or 200s for my projects from LCSC as part of my PCB orders, then yeah, I'll keep doing that, even if they're costing me a little bit more. There's the smallest component of my BOM. So, yeah, I don't know why it happens. Just at the start when you join on low latency, sometimes it buffers. So sorry about that. I'm looking forward to watching your signal generator review, the one you got from Banggood. I was quite interested to know what that was on your mail video the other day. So I saw you published it overnight. I just haven't had a chance to watch it yet. So I don't know anything about it, but I could have used a signal generator a few times recently. Haven't even pulled out my my logic analyzer yet and played with it. Just so much to do, so much on my plate. Yeah, show me no love either, Brian. Don't worry, you and I both, mate. Oh, you spoiled Electron Ash. Go sit in the corner. No spoilers. Wow, that's a rule. No spoilers. Okay, I'm looking forward to watching the video. Scope is 2 signal generators built in. Really useful. Ooh, which scope is that? Oh, you got the blue, what's it called? The D word. No, the Rigol. You got a Rigol, don't you, Ben? Which Rigol have you got? Oh, I didn't know that had any signal generators in. I think mine can actually do something. I don't know how to do it though. Maybe. But it's nowhere near the same as having a dedicated signal generator. You got some wicked test equipment, mate. Some wicked stuff. Yeah, PCB people have no problem with me. I get bugged all the time on Instagram and other places. And now PCBA as well. As soon as I started talking about PCBA, I've got everyone contacting me asking if I want to get stuff made. But I'm limiting my quotes to people that either I want quoted or my project manager knows personally and trusts, has worked with before. So yeah, have to be super careful where I'm handing out all my stuff. Like the board's going to be open source anyway, but I need to get to market first. I need to get the campaign up and running, get all that locked in first. Getting out quick is kind of important. I think half of my Twitter followers are obscure. Yeah, on Instagram mine are for sure. So it sounds painful. PCBA is actually not painful. The assembly part's not painful. It's the testing and having the right testing in place and being comfortable with the people who are building it, and how they're building it, and also controlling where they get the parts from. So an example is that PCBWay, who don't think I'm going to be using because they're quite expensive actually. Unfortunately, they wanted to grab all the parts from DigiKey, even though 90% of my BOM is from LCSC. And I said to them, look, no, if you're going to quote me, if you want to build my board, quote me, you need to quote me on parts from LCSC. I don't want you buying from DigiKey because they're the same parts and they're 30% more expensive. I don't care what buying power PCBWay think they've got, they're still more expensive. So the problem is with PCBA companies is they load up they put margins on everything. So they put margins on their PCB creation, they put margins on their component sourcing, and they put margins obviously on their assembly and testing. So yeah, it's individually prices aren't too bad, but when you add it all together, it's a tough decision for me to make. I get quite a lot of interest from people who want to give me Bluetooth speakers. Oh really? Cool. You should stock up on Bluetooth speakers and open up a store, David. You could direct to the public. Brian's still in the lookout for a 3D printer. If Banggood or if Creality or anyone are watching this video, this live stream, please send Brian a 3D printer, a good 3D printer. Thank you. I'd be forever grateful if you did that. PCB Go-Go. I've never heard of PCB Go-Go. There are so many companies now. And also a lot of the companies just, like some of them, not a lot, some companies just on-sell other companies as well. And some are open about it and some of them aren't. Like dirty PCBs. Like they don't manufacture. They get them manufactured elsewhere. They work with a lot of other PCB manufacturing companies. And so when you order from them, they get the right fit, and get your boards done and sent out. But a lot of these obscure Chinese ones, some of them are just on-selling other ones. Help you out there, Brian. Flash Forge. Ooh. I love the Flash Forge printers. They're a bit pricey, but yeah. The first printer I got was a Flash Forge clone. They're nice printers. They're good. We're giving away 3D printers away for free. Wow. Okay. Can someone call Oprah? Oprah, can you please organise 3D printers for everyone on my channel right now? Thanks. Cheers. Love you. Love your show. Yeah. Let's not start talking about leagues. I'm on the bottom of the barrel on leagues. At least on channel size anyway. So. Okay. Well, this is fun. I am enjoying this. There's a 3D printer under everyone's seat. Could you imagine? Have to be the smallest 3D printers ever. There's one of Sean's 3D printers under everyone's seat. Did everyone see Sean Hodgkin's Christmas ornament printer? He built a 3D printer out of a 3D printer. Like he 3D printed a 3D printer, like an SLA-based 3D printer that prints ornaments. If you haven't seen it, you got to see it. Like for that, everyone must have seen it, right? It was everywhere. It was crazy. No worries, Andy Mouse. I'm not going to link. Okay, you want to know which one's Sean's channel? Okay, let me get it for you. YouTube. Who's Oprah? You don't know who Oprah is? Oprah Winfrey. Sean Hodgkins. Sean Hodgkins. Okay. Can't believe I'm giving Sean a shout out. He deserves it. But like he's got 18,000 subs now. He's picked up like 3, 4, no, he was on 12, 6,000 subs in the last few weeks. You did a collab with Mark Rober on that glitter bomb thing, and his channel's just taken off completely. So yeah. Anyway, check out his Christmas ornament that prints 3D Christmas ornaments. Really clever. He built an SLA printer this big, like in an ornament. Oops. Yeah, like, check it out. Really good. Great channel. Sub to his channel. Chris, you really don't know who Oprah Winfrey is? Come on. Yeah, there are so many channels to sub to. Like I've stopped for the moment. Like it has to be a really special channel, just because I can't get through all the content anymore that I want to watch, and I feel guilty when I'm not watching the stuff that I really want to watch, or I put it off for too long. Yeah, he's Sean's great. He's really hitting it out of the ballpark right now. His project he's working on are really fantastic. I thought Oprah was world famous. Well, she's rich, but that's that's not why she's famous. She's famous not because she's rich, but for a lot of other reasons. Anyway, it's not Oprah. Anyway, it doesn't matter. All good. You're in the better league. I have electronics vlogs, which is really a little more entertainment than educational. But David, I think you're the only one here that is comfortable enough to say Merry Frickin' Christmas on your channel. That was frickin', by the way. I said frickin'. I didn't use a swear word. Point them Jeff Palm's way as well. Point them everywhere, David. I don't want a free printer, so don't point them to me. Save them for other people. Thank you. Yeah, that's good. Unless you know anyone that wants to give away a free pick and place. Does Oprah have a YouTube channel? I don't know. She has her own TV network, her own cable channel. Christos, Oprah Winfrey, look her up. Yeah. Oh, is she married? Oh my God, Chris. I want a Bruce and a Flash Forge, but please don't tell them that. You just wrote that publicly, David. Yeah, Bruce is great. Love it. Bruce is great. I mean, if someone wants to give me another, if Joseph wants to send me another i3, I'd take it. Not that I need two, but maybe his new SLA printer. I wouldn't mind playing with that. I think SLA is just still too messy. I love the idea of SLA, and I love the quality you can get out of it, but I don't like the process. So, hey Brian, I know a place where you can get yourself a free Prusa. Just saying. You know, might be quicker than waiting for Joseph. Yeah. I didn't say anything, Brian. I'm just saying that I think I know a place that you might know. I think ignorance is bliss. Dumpster diving. Yeah, that'd be pretty sad if someone threw away an i3. Considering they're fixable. So, yeah, that'd be a shame. So, can I ask, does anyone know what happened with that whole deal of Ben Heck moving to Australia and working with Dave on that new channel? Is that channel dead? Is that idea gone? Or is that still happening? I thought that was supposed to be happening end of last year, like October or November. You think that was a prank? No, really? I didn't know that. Was that really April Fool's? Wow. I am a sucker. Really? I even subbed to the channel. I am such a sucker. Wow. Wow. Yeah, there you go. I gotta start. See, that's why I have such like I'm really disappointed with humanity. Like just in general, present company accepted. Just in general, I think I know there's a lot of good people out in the world, but there's just a lot of bad people and a lot of self-absorbed and people in the world. And so every time I try to break that mold and think positive, I just get kicked down again. Ah, I thought that sounded like a great idea. Like as a concept, I absolutely I subbed straight away. I would absolutely watch that. I can't believe it. Wow. Oh well. Is that channel even there? I need to go find the channel and unsub. Oh, I'd never believe that Dave bought the whole building. Wow. Okay. I'm glad that I'm not the only loser out there. But still, it's still there and it's got 12,000 subs. Unbelievable. I can't even get to 3,000 subs, and that channel that isn't even real has 12,000 subs. And it did seem like a legit concept because Dave does the dumpster diving all the time. Like, I really thought it was a clever idea. I really, really did. Now I'm upset because I want to see it. Maybe I'll give Dave a call and go, yo, what's up? Let's do a channel. Yeah, I don't think he's going to do that. He's going to go, unexpected who? And hang up the phone. So is the building is the not the building, the complex that Dave's in, is that where Altium is in Sydney? Did everyone see that there's a new version of Altium just came out, Altium 19? I am so tempted to buy a license of Altium. There's some amazing stuff in that program. It looks really hard to use. Maybe it's not, I don't know. Ben's got a new channel, his own channel. Unexpected April Fools. No, apparently it was quite expected, April Fools. Just unexpected idiot. Pointing at myself. Really? What's his new channel? Don't tell me it's Ben Heck. Because that was used. Ben Heck. Ben Heck and Dawn. Ben Heck Hacks. No. Is that his new channel? Oh, it is. No, that's 5 years. That's his old channel. No, Ben Hen Hacks is his old one. He's got videos from 5 years ago. But he's also got new videos. So he's gone back to his old channel, has he? Hey, Death Shaker. Designer is only... Wait, is that a... Did you miss a comma? Peter? Peter, did you slip and add a 0 or did you miss a comma? Is that $10,000? Or is that 1,000? He's resurrected his original one. Awesome, I didn't know. Subscribing now. Maybe he'll subscribe back to me. I doubt it. 42,000 subs. I'm doing something wrong, clearly. No comma. Wow. $10,000, $11,000 US for the first and then maintenance every year. Okay, yeah, I'm not doing it. But it just looks like it's so cool. Like the real impedance calculations and matching and all that type of stuff and their 3D stuff and just, oh wow, it looks insane. Looks really good. Okay, well I'm going to have to check out Ben's videos now. Wow. Is that grain of rice microcontroller video his? I didn't even know it was his. That came through my feed. I'm spoiled by Designer though, I can't go. Oh, do you use Designer, do you, Peter? You don't pay for it though, yourself anymore? Surely not. Not those pricing. Yeah, KiCat's fine. So's Eagle. Like I don't plan on moving away from Eagle, but there's just some stuff in Altium. Oh, you don't have any more. Bummer. It's just, yeah. It's amazing how far more advanced it is in a lot of the stuff, that's all. Easy EDA for the win. Yeah, I'm going to have a look at that video. Like 53 minutes. That's actually why I didn't watch it. Because it was long and I didn't have time. I didn't have 53 minutes to watch it. Had I clicked on it, I would have seen that it was his. Gonna do more PCB design, FPOM. Yeah, Eagle. Like, I like Eagle. I know everyone knows that. And I've actually got a second Tidbits video just sitting there that I haven't pushed out the door yet. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. My first Tidbits video wasn't overly popular on my channel. Yeah, most people aren't interested. It got, I think, the second lowest views out of any video I've ever had. Yeah, I know they're Windows only. I know. Another reason I'm not doing it. But yeah, there's some really nice tools in there, though. I was just looking at it. There's a new version came out, so I was looking through the specs. As I do sometimes, just teasing myself. And Eagle's now too costly. No, it's not. Eagle's not costly. Eagle's free. Or it's $100 a year if you need a bigger board and 4 layers. It's not costly. Sorry. KiCat is free, but Eagle is not costly. Sorry. Different amounts of money means different things to different people. I apologize. Sorry. Yeah, that was... Yeah. Yeah, sorry. It's not just for students. It's 100% free for makers as well. They're fine with having makers, hobbyists using the free version. And $100 a year is, for what it is not a lot of money, I should say. Whether you can justify $100 a year or not is beside the point. And if you're happy with KiCat, cool. But yeah, I don't believe that whole Eagle is too expensive thing anymore. Even their full commercial license is only like $1,000 a year for a full commercial license. compared to an Altium, which is $10,000 per seat for the first year. See, David, new puppy's demanding attention. Ooh, hello, puppy. Hi to the new puppy. KiCad supports differential traces. So does Eagle, mate. Eagle does full differential tracing and does push-pull and all that type of stuff as well. Eagle's come a long way over the last 12, 18 months. Apart from doing the 3D inside KiCad, and obviously Eagle's got their Fusion pipeline, I don't believe there's anything KiCad can do, or KiCad can do, that Eagle can't. Sorry on that argument. But, again, it doesn't matter. There's enough tools out there for everyone. See you, David. Thanks for joining. Happy New Year. So I don't have an argument about it. I'm just saying, like, there's any tool is a good tool for anyone to use, whatever you feel comfortable using. Easy EDA is great as well. But yeah, there's just a lot of, I guess for me, there's a lot of negativity around Eagle, and a lot of it has to do with the Autodesk buying it, and yeah, it annoys me because a lot of it's unfounded. I mean, Autodesk have a terrible track record, agreed, about buying and turning stuff into subs and really not maintaining their software very well, without a doubt. But Fusion and Eagle are not in that category at all. And yeah, it's the team behind Eagle really are really passionate. They're really doing some amazing stuff, and it had a lot of catching up to do. Yes, and there was a lot of really awkward things in it, but a lot of the changes they're making also, a lot of the older school Eagle people don't like either, because they were set in their ways of how it used to work. I love the fact that KiCad's open source. It's just, it might be good on Eagle, like 5.1 or whatever it is, or 01 or whatever is up to now, might be good on Windows, but it's still a pretty average experience on the Mac, from my experience. And yeah, and I know they're moving away, or whether they're moving away or they're adding as well as that whole their net system. I hated their net system. Like, I get that a component on a schematic is a reference to the component on the board, but you can have board values that have nothing to do with the schematic, and schematic values that have nothing to do with the board. But having to put something in the middle to join them, like their net list, just does not make any sense, because there is no joining. Like, there's still, like, if I put a resistor in my schematic and then that resistor's on the board, like, I don't need to, there shouldn't be a third step to join those two together. I never liked that about KiCad, and I know that they've got a workflow now that doesn't require that. So the question will be, are they going to remove the net list completely? I hope they do. Yeah, but that's, yeah, I get quite passionate about stuff. Sorry, folks. On the other hand, nets themselves don't get named directly, only by when the lower left corner of the net label touches the net. Whoa, I'm not quite sure what you mean, but that doesn't sound good. Easy EDA is great. There's just a couple of gotchas with it, sometimes with like copper fills and stuff. I think Brian's mentioned a few times on his streams. But every program has a learning curve, And there's some quirks in Eagle that annoy me as well, don't get me wrong. But all in all, the team are doing a really good job on making it really good. Yeah, see, if netlist stays, that's fine, as long as I don't have to use it. Does that make sense? I just hated it. You build a schematic and you work on your board, before you can work on your board, you needed to go and load up another app and start joining stuff and finding stuff. Like, yeah. An 0402 resistor is an 0402 resistor, right? And I shouldn't have to go and find the right 0402 resistor to put there on my board, I believe. Autodesk, a funny company, relative used to work there, said the only reason the company exists were to buy office furniture and provide a forum for managers. Yeah, look, as I said, they don't necessarily have a fantastic track record in the in some of their spaces, but the Fusion and the Autodesk teams are really nimble and very community focused. like on the forums and just in social media, and that they listen and they're quite proactive. Like I'm very impressed, I have to say. I guess I really think Altium would do. Yeah, I don't know enough about Altium. I just some of the features that are listed just sounded really cool. That's all, and their examples of how they were building 3D tracks on the fly just looked awesome. I don't know what I'd use it for, but it just looked good. Um, yeah, sometimes you can't get all of your schematic done first, though. Sometimes. Sometimes designs change or things evolve. Um, Dip trace is fine. There's nothing wrong with dip trace. I know a few people who use dip trace. The great thing is there's lots of tools out there for us, and we can choose. We have choice, which is it's really important. And everything doesn't have to be open source to have choice. I believe there's space for commercial software, as long as you're getting value for what you're paying and you can justify the cost. Not everyone can. Some people can. The 3D viewer in KiCad is great, without a doubt. Like the stuff that Greg Devil posts on Twitter of the boards he makes and then he renders them. I've yet to see anything come out of Fusion that has a nice render. Well, I don't know, it might be possible to do. I mean, I bring my boards into Fusion all the time, but not to simulate what they look like in 3D, just to use, to get my board layout right for designing cases and stuff. But Greg Devil does some amazing renders of his boards, and I'm jealous every time I see one. I think there being free software, PCB CAD, even helps make... Well, yeah, the free software means a lower barrier to entry for people to get into that, into PCB design, which is good for everyone, right? But software being free doesn't necessarily make it better. Like free, you know what I mean? And there are people out there that are adamant they'll only ever use free open source software. It's like... I don't want to get into the vegetarian discussion. I'm not going to get... I'm not vegetarian. I've got no problems with people being vegetarian. But yeah, I don't want to get into that discussion. I shut my mouth. Yeah. Like being adamant that all software should be free, I think is a fallacy. 3D View is essentially for 3D packaging. Yeah, sometimes, Peter, it's still nice to visualize the board to see what it's going to look like before you build it. They're quite often I've designed something on a PCB and I've put some drill holes a little bit too close to some components, and it'd be nice to just visualize in 3D with a screw there to see exactly how close the screw head is to the component, for instance. Or like on my first revision TinyPICOs, I had the components too close to the header pins. They looked like there was enough space in the PCB design view, but because it was big, right? I kept forgetting how small the board was, and so when I got my first boards made, and then I saw how close the header pins were, like it was bad, right? If I could have done that, if I could have done a render with header pins in there, I think it would have helped me. But again, that's either way. Oh, hello, DC Allen. Can't beat a bacon sandwich. Yeah, yeah. It was more about the reasoning behind it. Like, with software, it's interesting. People's convictions with software are often, I believe, not everyone, some people are just misguided. I think there's room for both. I think there's, the whole... I think corporations make commercial software the problem, not the software necessarily. I'm a big fan of commercial software and open source. A lot of great ideas come from open source, but the software I rely on for work I often pay for. I wish I would have stuck with KiCad as well in terms of knowing both. Like as KiCad 4 was a pretty bad experience on the Mac, and I kind of let it go. I really wasn't enjoying it. I was fighting it, but I was learning that first before I did it. Before I went Eagle, I was watching Chris. What's Chris's surname? The Amp Hour. Chris Gamble. Like his YouTube channel. Like I was learning KiCad from that, but it was just a terrible experience on the Mac. Thank you, Brian. Yeah, it just really was a terrible experience on the Mac, and I was getting frustrated, and so I felt like it's hard enough to learn good PCB design when all you're doing is learning the design stuff, but having to fight the software, no. But yeah. Makes you a bit like vegetarians. Okay, we're not having a Mac PC discussion. If you want to have a... No, we're not doing that. Not happening, Electron Ash. I think they have a download, but just the online. Those into the latest KiCad has much improved component library layout. Yeah, there's a lot of good things about the new versions of new version of KiCad, for sure. But it's still got a long way to go, as far as I'm concerned. Like they so one of the things I didn't like about early versions of Eagle was that the schematic and the PCB layout view were obviously two programs, but they worked differently. Not just worked because one was schematic and one was PCB layout, but the icons were different and the icon layouts were different, and it was like learning two completely different packages. And Autodesk has done a great job of making them the same now. And KiCad have to do that as well, because I still feel like I'm in two different packages when I'm in schematic and when I'm in layout. Keyboard shortcuts are different, icons are different, layout of the icons are different. Yeah, they need to... David, don't stir the pot. No, that wasn't a Mac PC rant. That was a Apple anti-Apple rant, maybe. And we're not going to go there either. No, I don't believe in the Mac PC rant. Like, you use whatever tool's right for you. There shouldn't be Mac versus PC. I know there is, but there shouldn't be. And Linux, there shouldn't be an anything versus Linux. Use whatever you're happy using. It's fine. Different horses for different courses. I started looking at KiCad when I lost design, and it seems arduous. Yeah, it's maybe getting a little bit better. I love the fact that you've got Eagle importing. It's kind of good. I still think it's got a little bit way to go from what I've seen for quite complex Eagle stuff, but yep. Ooh, Linux and Windows on a PC. Unthinkable, Rob. I'm looking at Mac Mini now because of you. Sorry, don't blame me. Yes, Amiga is the best all the way. If only Commodore would have pulled their heads out of their backsides and not combusted, we could have all had a very different view on the world when it comes to computing right now. I've been an Apple user since February 28. Yeah, I think I'm really struggling. Yeah, I've said it before. I'm really struggling with Apple's hardware pricing and value for money right now. Not the quality, but just in terms of specs, the value for money. I'm really struggling with it at the moment. I've always disliked it, but now I'm actually struggling with it. As my cash reserves are depleting. But imagine if we all had Amigas. I'm really looking forward to the ARM revolution, though. Over the next 2 or 3 years, it's going to be a game changer. Yeah, Windows on a Mac is phenomenal. I worked at... What? Amos? What? You worked at Commodore in the early 90s. You worked at Commodore? In Australia? How old are you? I thought you were young. Aren't you at uni? Okay, I'm losing my mind now. What's going on? Not sure about the whole... The ARM thing for mainstream PCs is going to happen. Sorry. It may not happen for enthusiast PCs, but that market is very lucrative, but it's not big compared to the business marketplace, right? I used to work for a company here selling Commodore hardware when I was in my teens. Really? I had no idea, mate. 50 mature age student. That is awesome. I thought about going back to uni, doing hardware engineering. And then I looked in the mirror and laughed and said, no, not going to happen. I did not know that. I used to visit Commodore Australia all the time. I think I went and picked up my version of Logo from them, and a couple of copies of Zork, I think. I was down at their head office. Could have been classmates. Who? Right, so that's the challenge for ARM, right? The challenge for And it's not much of a challenge, let me tell you, because the three of the biggest hardware players in the world are working on it, meaning Apple, Microsoft, and Qualcomm. No, they are. Yeah, ARM is it's going to happen, folks, and Apple will probably lead the way in terms of moving their lower end notebooks down that path. And if anyone's got the ability to, yeah, I loved Logo. If anyone's got the ability to write an x86 VM that is 100% top notch, that's Apple. I mean, they did it with Rosetta when they moved to Intel from PowerPC, and but Apple have been working on pushing people towards doing native ARM for a long time, and their tools are getting easier, and with Swift and Objective C, whatever for the Apple ecosystem, you can literally write once and almost deploy on multiple things now. Like the stuff's getting closer and closer. Microsoft tried, not well enough with their ARM tablets. They're going to try again. Behind the scenes, they're absolutely working on it. There's no doubt that Apple have a fully working version of macOS running on ARM, native macOS on the ARM internally, and there's absolutely a native version of Windows, full Windows running on ARM at Microsoft somewhere. And it's going to happen. And there'll be a transition period where a lot of stuff will run under a VM, but they're pushing hard to get people to do native, and it's going to happen. And it's probably one of the best things that's going to happen. What Intel roadmaps we've seen still leave ARM in the rearview mirror? It's the stuff that they're talking about, yes, but no one knows if they can deliver, Peter. I mean, they still haven't done 10 nanometer. Like they say it's going to happen first half of 2019, but ARM's already on 7. I don't know. I think the rate of improvement with ARM is far surpassing. Or you can just, it is, right? I don't know. And the Intel stuff's too expensive. Like that's the bottom line. Is not only is ARM take half as much power and performance-wise just getting way better, but cost is just cheaper. Like, I mean, look at Intel's pricing. Look at what they're pushing in terms of hardware. I mean, AMD and Intel are going to go head to head in that in the prosumer space, in the high end PC building space. But yeah, what about the millions and millions of Windows boxes that are sitting there in corporate world, where people are quite happy having an ARM processor in there? They don't know what they've got in there. They don't need anything faster. I think it's going to happen. I'm not saying I'm looking forward to it, but it's going to be painful, but it's going to happen. Intel also don't have a very good track record right now of delivering on anything they promise. I hope they do, but they don't have a good track record. Sophie Wilson and others from Acorn get nowhere near the recognition they deserve. Yeah, the ARM's just a fantastic design. They can run 1.6 times. Yeah, on same hardware, on equal hardware, they can absolutely run that much more. So you think the battery tech's going to advance that fast? I don't know. I know there's a lot of work being done out there to make batteries way less dangerous, but in terms of duration, I don't think there's anything on the near horizon, is there, that is really going to make that much of an update? Wasn't the ARM chip designed as it was just like a sub chip, a secondary, like not the co-processor, but something like that, wasn't it, originally for the BBC? I'm pretty sure that's how. See you, Brian. Catch you later. Thanks for joining. Hope you have a wonderful... Oh, it must be really late now for you. Hope you had a wonderful New Year's Eve. Good luck in 2019. Yeah, it might, Ben. I don't know. There's got to be a reason for that to move to the computer space. That's the problem. I see some stuff missing, like names. and was designed as replacement for 6502. Yeah, I know there are a lot of battery. There's been stacks of battery improvements and changes and development over the last few years because of electric vehicles. I get that, but not a lot of those changes are potentially any better for a laptop, for instance, or not a lot of those changes can necessarily be miniaturized for a laptop or a small device like a phone. Um, I think there's a lot in the smaller space. I think there's a lot more effort going towards safer batteries, like non-exploding phones. I think that's more of a priority right now. Like they're making hardware require less battery, and if they can make batteries safer, they don't necessarily have to solve batteries lasting longer. If that makes sense. Powerful enough, the Acorn was deemed not good enough. The 68, hang on, wait, the 68,000 or the 6800 wasn't good enough? You're talking about 6800. There was no 68,000 for the at that time, was there? Not in a computer at that point. Do you mean the 6800, Amos? The 68,000? Really? Yeah, I know it was released in then, but it wasn't being widely used at that point still, was it? How, when did you talking about the Acorn? When did the Acorn come out? That was around the Commodore 64 days, wasn't it? Just, it was pre, like I know it was around, but it was pre it being used in home computers though, wasn't it? Like your Ataris and your Amigas and your all that type of stuff. And your Lisa and your Mac, yeah. But that they all kind of came around. Wasn't the Acorn before that? So I thought it was. Okay, maybe not. I mean, we had BBC micros at school, but I was a Commodore guy, so I never really knew much of the history of the BBC and the machines and the Acorn and all that type of stuff. So which was the first Acorn? Anyone know? I'm sure you all know. Yeah, we had Model Bs at school. So the Electron, right, and then Archimedes. So did the Archimedes come out around the same time as all the other 68,000 machines? I didn't realise that. I thought it was much earlier. Yeah, they were massive in the UK, but not here, unfortunately. I mean, a lot of schools in Australia went the BBC Model B route just because it was, everyone was looking up to the UK at that time. Yes, I know. I got my Amiga 1000 in 1985. I had one of the first Amigas in Australia, in Victoria. Yeah, I know the history of all the Amiga and the Atari stuff. I just didn't realize that there was an Acorn, or that model Acorn was around the same time, like or a bit before that. So yeah, I thought it was earlier, much earlier. Well, there you go. Okay, as fun as this is, folks, I think we should leave the retro to the retro channels. I don't really want to start, otherwise I'm going to go get my Amiga and 64, pull them out, plug them in. I'm going to completely pivot the channel to retro because there aren't enough retro channels. I'm joking. TI-99. Wow. Yeah, there weren't a lot of Texas Instruments computers here either. There was a few Tandys. We had Tandy stores. A few people in Australia had Tandy 1000s. You got a 4000? What? Oh, yeah. I always loved the look of the 3000. I thought it was the nicest. The 1000 I think was the nicest looking Amiga they've ever made, and then the 3000. 2000 looked terrible, and then I always wanted a 4000, but by the time I left the Amiga scene between the 2000 and the 3000, or the 2500 and the 3000. I'd already moved to PCs, unfortunately. I wish I wouldn't have. But yeah, that's just what happened. Yeah, never got. I've always wanted a Spectrum. What was it, ZX81? But yeah, I never did. Who's going to develop a game for the Tandy? There's a big resurgence in people releasing games for retro hardware these days. It's amazing how many games are coming out for the 64 and the Amiga. And I don't even look at the other space. Like, I don't know. I'm sure there's stacks coming out for other game machines as well, computers as well. Yeah, I go to a computer meetup every. Which one do you go to any? I go to this is not the Melbourne one, the OG AUG. I haven't been for a couple of months though, but sell them. I'm not selling my hard. Oh, you're talking now. Helmet? They are worth something if someone wants to buy them. But no. I got rid of my hardware when I was young, and I regret it. So I bought the hardware that I had, although I couldn't. Like, I had a 1000. I had a 500 as well. Had a 1000. Never had a 1200. So I got myself a 1200 now. I'd love to get another 1000, but they're nowhere near as versatile. Although you can stick a vampire card in them now. Yeah, I sold my 64 to get my Amiga 1000, and then sold my Amiga 1000, got actually got a 500, and then at some point I got myself a PC laptop, and that was it. So and I kind of disappeared from that space. Yeah, Melbourne PC is still around. I don't go to it, but Ben knows a little bit about it because Ben goes to another science thing at the same place. Anyway, yep. Thank you, Peter. You reminded me that I was trying to say goodbye. Thanks for stopping by. It's good to see you again. I'm glad you're still kicking around. Hadn't seen you for a while. Everyone, have a happy new year. I hope 2019 is awesome for you all. And thanks for joining on the stream. I have no idea how many people there was. Please give it a thumbs up if you feel like it, or give it a thumbs up anyway. Thank you, and I will catch you all next week on next week's stream. Bye, everyone. Okay, I've lost the close button again. Oh boy, it happens to me every time. Okay, I found it. Vegetarians unite. Bye.